have to do comedy. I don't have any other options in my life.
Wow.
People go, you're a failed comic. Where they know not what they mean is you still do stand-up. You're not a movie star? I don't believe any single goddamn thing I see, especially around world events, because everything I've ever heard, I can't think of a single thing that turned out to be real.
That's true.
I don't understand these fucking people that got the money to say fuck you and not do a thing that sucks. How are you that much of a coward? What are you afraid you're gonna be kicked out of?
Alex Jones has been right about almost everything.
His hit rate is infinitely better than every major news organization.
It's incredible.
All your leaders are bought off, and then these companies are making the decisions. It's real simple.
Yeah.
There's your Illuminati, every international corporation. That's the thing I didn't realize. When they say military-industrial complex,
Yeah.
and you just think it's missiles and shit
Yeah.
and whatever. It's everything. It's drugs, food, your fucking entertainment. The worst influence on everything has been money. The Bible says love money is the root of evil. Of course it is.
Kurt Metzger.
Hey, man.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
Man, I'm so excited to have you on, actually. I've been watching your comedy, and it's brilliant, man.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I wish it made me more money than it does.
Well, you never know.
Maybe. Maybe this show will turn it all around. Yeah, he just told me I used to do MMA, mixed martial arts.
Yep.
Like in the beginning. So wait, because we were talking about it before we started. When you started doing mixed martial arts, you said you couldn't afford like to karate or anything.
Yeah.
How did you, was it just cheap to go to it at the time?
No, so I mean, I was wrestling in high school.
Oh, yeah, okay.
In junior high school. And then, there was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu school that came up when I was about 15 years old. And I worked and just had enough money at that point to pay, but I couldn't pay for the lessons as a kid. It was a little too expensive for us at the time.
I think you're going to tell me you tried to steal a ninja sword from an old Japanese man who
No.
caught you and put you in kumite.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, I mean, those days, like we were talking about earlier, but, we didn't know what was real, what wasn't real. I mean, we would compare, Steven Seagal to Van Damme, like who would win in a fight?
Yeah.
Who do you think would win in that fight?
Now Van Damme, I think. Because I didn't know how much of it was just about how much wind you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really like a very cardio-based thing.
It is.
I can't even, if I have to get in like a stance, like a proper boxing stance, like you already won. You already beat me.
You ever train at all?
I was going for, just to I was trying to get in shape for something. But I couldn't believe the amount of endurance I did not have to just do the basic proper form.
Man,
before
it's
you
tough.
even fight.
It's tough. Like with something like boxing, you can get into a flow where it's not very tiring if you do it. Like it looked like James Toney.
Yeah, right.
Like he just kind of is kind of always out of shape, but he's so relaxed the whole time and rolls with the punches and stuff. But when you're first doing it, man, and you're sparring for the first time, it's exhausting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been in fights in life, but they always just felt like they went long. They probably didn't go long.
Yeah, they felt like it.
Very quick.
Yeah.
And then, the last time I got any kind of thing like that was when a guy boxed my eardrum at a Comedy Cellar. And I just remember the next day, my whole body was sore.
Yep.
From just like grabbing and doing this.
Yep.
And like, I guess I hadn't exercised any of that in a long
Yeah,
time.
you work muscles that you wouldn't normally
Yeah.
work. I got in a fight out front here a couple of years ago. I had a guy kind of sort of break in, and he did. He broke in, and I was walking him out of the property, and he was like, "Oh, you're kicking me out of here because I'm black," and I'm like, "I'm about to kick your ass. I don't care that you're black. You're on my property."
Wait, so okay, wait. So a guy like came into the property, and because I mean, what is that? First of all, is that just trespassing and whatever?
Yeah. Well, so I had a party the night before, and the guy somehow got in the party, and we asked him to leave.
Really?
And so the next day, I'm sitting in here with my business partners and a couple of friends watching the UFC that night, and we noticed that same guy walking by the pool. I'm like, what's going on here? So I opened the door. I'm like, what are you doing, man? And I thought maybe I left the gate open or something. He's like, oh, I'm looking for my phone. I'm like, man, you need to go. And then I closed the door and I said, what should I do here? I don't want to and then he starts walking into the main house. And I'm like, whoa. And then I just went off. And so I start I get to the guy, I'm like, you got to go, man. No. And, obviously kicking him off the property. He's just walking all over my property. And so, I'm pushing him along. And he's like, starts saying that I was kicking him out because he's black. I'm like, no, you're And I said, I'm about
was there another white homeless guy just walking around in your shit? And it was fine.
Exactly. And so the gate opens. He said, all right, now let's go. And he squares up, and I just smoked him. And we started fighting. But to your point about getting tired, I had a guillotine, and I realized I was gassing out. I was like, oh, shit, I can't gas out here. And so I just pushed him off. And I was actually secretly happy that, he didn't want to keep going because I was wounded.
How tough was the guy, would you say? Did he have any training?
He was actually, it turned out he was a neighbor that lived 3 doors down. Okay. And I think he was going through some mental stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like.
But he was jacked, man. He was a tough dude.
I mean, you'd think he'd just ring the doorbell or something.
Oh, of course. No,
I think I might have left my phone. I'm your neighbor.
No, he was looking for some shady stuff. I don't know what was going on. But I think he had like a mental break though, actually. So
it's a crazy ass story. Is that in the last how recently that?
It's like 2 years ago.
So is that pandemic era, I guess?
Yep. It was one of the first parties we had after the pandemic.
It wasn't that strict here with that kind of shit, right?
It was pretty strict for a while in Nashville. So I had a special exception to do events at the house. Okay. And they all got shut down. I had to give back a bunch of deposits, and that helped me make the decision to do no more public events, paid events, and just make it my own house and all that good stuff. But it was rough, man.
A lot of stuff closed by where I live in West Hollywood, like a bunch of shit, and it was way more like mask. It was way more face lockdown than now. I'd go on the road, everybody just do whatever the hell. Like, I was definitely scared of it, and I remember like being very self-conscious, forgetting my mask. I got institutionalized very quick with it. And then we go on the road, and I go to Florida or something. They're like, "What are you, a pussy?" Like, like, what are you afraid? Every place that was like had a lot of drunks was like, "Don't worry about it." Yeah. And by the way, it turns out those masks didn't help at all.
They didn't do anything. Yeah, there was the study that came out, was the meta-analysis that showed that it absolutely does nothing, but you should still wear your mask.
It's been known for quite some time, since the goddamn Spanish flu, that it does nothing.
Yeah.
I feel like I already knew that, but I was like, well, they said that I don't know it, so I put on a mask.
What do you think it was? You think it was like a psyop? Like where they just...
Yeah, it's to get you... I mean, psyop sounds so cloak and dagger, but it's like what it was all marketing. With every commercial, your whole life's a fucking psyop. Yeah. I think I hate everything, by the way, now. every single thing I watch, it's like I'm fucking sick of like getting marketed to. I hate it.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's we're seeing like a propaganda machine, and
why it's so bad now? Because of we found out on Jimmy Dore show, we had John Kiriakou, the ex-CIA guy. Yeah. That got in trouble for blowing the whistle on the torture program. Okay. And so I remember it like ruined my day too when we did this one. But he was talking about the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act. So originally the Smith-Mundt, M-U-N-D-T Act of 1948, I think, says that the United States government cannot propagandize its own people. Mm-hmm. So, we would send Radio Free America to whatever, Russia or Cuba. Right. We put propaganda out on other countries, but it's illegal to do it to us. Which I thought was a good law. They just fought Hitler, so they probably had, were sensitive to it. Anyway, in 2011, they made the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, which means they can do that. That's how they modernized it.
Yeah, and now they can propagandize.
It was Obama signed it. Thanks, Obama. And they deployed, this is in a Newsweek article from 2011, they deployed like 70,000 or 60,000, they're troops. They're not like troops, they're online with fake handles. And this is 2011 they talk about this. Yeah. I missed that story when it came out. Yeah. And so there's just been fake shit since then going up on everything. And now that you really see propaganda starting to hit people where it's like, They did it under the guise of we were broadcasting propaganda to Cuba, and they don't really like our propaganda, but they like baseball, and so and all it was doing was making it legal to be able to, but shucks, it's illegal to be broadcasting baseball. Yeah. So he just got to sign this thing so Cuba could listen to baseball.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that sounds like
it makes a lot of sense.
I couldn't believe I was listening to it. I remembered what was I occupied with while any of this was happening? Probably bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I
think I shouldn't say everybody's waking up. I feel like a lot of people are asleep, but it just feels like something's wrong. It's just like, it's so out, like the invasion that's happening right now at the border. I mean, it's and no, 8 million people, no big deal.
Well, think how funny that is that they're, first of all, when he says he's going to finish the wall, Biden, I love they're all going to make a wall, like a wall's bad. Like, I'm going to do it. Nobody's making anything, by the way, nothing. But now it's a whole thing about putting razor wire up. I'm like, could you not have just done that?
From the beginning.
Okay, won't build a wall, just put razor wire up. Like, so clearly people want a mass, and I think the reason why is based on watching, remember Dick Durbin, that senator?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. He gave a big speech about it because they're not meeting their recruitment goals for the military. And so they're going to do like a Gangs of New York where they got the Irish guys and they got off to fight in the Civil War. They've done that before. Like that's why so many Filipinos in certain areas, like Jacksonville had a massive Filipino, because they said you can get a citizenship if you'll go join the military.
Yeah.
So it's a thing that they've done a lot, but that's a big part of it. They're going to have them be cops. This is what he's saying in his speech.
Really?
Yeah.
I missed this one.
Who the fuck would watch C-SPAN?
Right.
No one. I saw it on Redacted first, that show Redacted. You ever see that?
I have, yep.
That's what and I saw the clip and I was like, oh my God. And but that's always a goal. It's the cheap labor. Remember that Australian guy who was saying how, because there was a minute after the pandemic where it was like a labor market more than a man, like the wages were more out to Europe because people were like, I don't want to go to this shitty job for that money. So there was it was famous. It was like 2 minutes of hate on this guy from Australia. He goes, now people need to feel some pain. They're like too spoiled or something and they got to have their pay lowered. Some like young Australian dickhead businessman. Yeah. And they were like, oh, this guy's an asshole. And it was on all the channel. That's how they all feel. They all feel like that. So every time that happens, you need a massive influx of people that'll be grateful to be here for shitty wages. You're like, oh, we could never have fruit if we had to pay the normal rates that you're supposed to pay people. Yeah. We couldn't have fruit. So we have a whole class of second-class citizens that maybe can work their way up above you.
Well, yeah. Well, what's interesting, someone who comes here as an immigrant is more likely to be a millionaire than someone born here because they see the American dream. And I feel bad for people that are really escaping horrible situations.
I thought you meant because they sell fentanyl.
Yeah. There's a lot of them.
They say that, but I don't fucking know. I mean, I'm sure. Look, if you come from someplace shitty, your ethic of what you can take is a lot different than somebody who grew up with, Western standards of living, as they call them. Yeah. But it's just, it's really amazing to me now. I don't even believe that guy Abbott is. I think he's a phony too. I think it's all a big play act, the governor of Texas, because he was bringing people. Like this just now happened. They put razor wire. He's been letting people in the whole time and building those like detention camps. There's a whole industry that builds those. That was paying Biden. Sure, was paying Abbott. You can't trust any of them. I mean, even when they're having a fight against each other, it's like probably some bullshit. It's
like WWF.
Yeah,
that's what it seems like. I mean, it's so confusing right now. I'll watch videos. I'm like, is that real? How do we know that video is real? And
what was it of?
Well, for instance, the one where there's a guy on the border that seems to be like they're suggesting he's a terrorist, and he's like, he's like, you'll know who I am soon. Play that video if you can, Warren. And
is that a good thing to say?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe he's just gonna go on America's Got Talent, and he's like getting hyped up for his.
Yeah, he's like a big scientist or something.
You'll know. You'll all know.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, you'll all know who I am real soon. Yeah.
Well, it's all like Chinese military age men and Syrian and Venezuelan. Basically all the places that might have a bit of a grudge against us.
Yeah.
They have all these mass immigrants. I got to believe if I was any of those countries, I might slip a few people in along with the people running away.
Well, that's the thing. If you're an enemy of America, you're probably going to want to send people to Mexico City where they can fly into easily and then just go north.
Well, I'll bet you what it is you put people in, and then if we do go, the next place we go into to invade, you have like sleeper agents to do something. I hope that's what I hope it's like. Just if we're not invading these countries, they won't pop these things off. But it's just as equal of a chance the little people from here on purpose brought in because they want shit to happen. It's just as big a chance the call's coming from inside the house.
Yeah, no, that's what it seems like. I mean, really, what else could there be other than they want something to happen? Because it's common sense. You just have an open border.
They want something to happen. There's a lot of benefits. The low, you get the lower wages. I guess the robots that they were making have not gotten done in time. The whole idea is to keep you, the Amazon style, keep you working at the thing. They calculate when the burnout is for the employees, 3 months, they let them go. We're just stalling until we get these robots done. And that's what all that UBI talk was.
Yeah.
Your universal basic income.
Yep.
Which I was like, okay, I guess. Andrew Yang, was it Yang?
Yep.
And but then at that point when I first heard about it, I had no idea, oh, that's right. That's a central currency to control you.
Man. Well, the digital currency that they're talking about.
The CBDC. Yeah.
I mean, it's close, man. I mean, do you think that we have a chance to defeat this?
You don't have to. It's collapsing. It's just collapsing.
Yeah.
What's his, Michael Malice?
No.
I love that dude. But he wrote a book about it, The White Pill. But it was all about how these things collapse under their own weight, which a lot of them did, the Soviet Union. It turns out it wasn't Rocky. Rocky giving a speech how I thought it was just unsustainable. And that's what we have going on now. You watch it crumble and you watch people freaking out as they're.
We were watching it crumble. I mean, it's that's what's crazy is we're actually watching it. And are you familiar with postmodernism?
Yeah.
I mean, they're challenging all these universal truths and making you think you're crazy for saying a man can't be pregnant. It's that type of thing.
Are you saying a man can't be pregnant?
Yes.
What are you saying? It's just a really unattractive woman?
Right. That's about right. I mean, it's like.
Do you remember when Oprah's the one, the pregnant man? I remember on all the you'd be in a supermarket and the pregnant man. And it was when Barnum and Bailey used to advertise that unicorn. We got a unicorn.
Yeah.
It was just a goat that they mutilated.
Yeah.
I was as a kid, I remember that. Oh, it's not like a unicorn I would have thought of, and I was disappointed. And then pregnant man, I'm like, wait, this is just some chick with a beard.
Yeah.
I was just I felt ripped off, she Barnum and Bailey'd me. And then all of a sudden I have this nonsense that just objectively how fucking stupid. That's why I love flat earthers. Because, I remember I used to watch Neil deGrasse Tyson, shocked that anybody could be that stupid. By the way, I mean, it is kind of stupid, but I'm not threatened by it or afraid of it. I don't see what, if you're someone that believes in that, what you're going to not have that great NASA job and
right.
You probably play basketball or something, go for it.
Yeah.
But Neil deGrasse Tyson, I remember him, he couldn't believe it's we're in medieval, it's we're in the dark age. I'm yeah, well, one, when you bring feudalism back as an economic system, you might find some dark ages things popping up among the peasants.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, he thinks women could have dicks. So, if you're going to stack up the earth is flat versus women have dicks, let's all just give each other a little room since we all believe kind of unusual things.
Well, we were talking earlier. It's next you're going to be schizophobic. If somebody's schizo.
You won't be allowed to say schizo. I mean, you shouldn't say it. You should say, I don't know what the fuck. You're not even supposed to mention.
Call me my personality. I'm Bob now. I'm Darren.
But,
Vicky.
I think they, if you watch TikTok, I always watch these videos where there's somebody who's watching TikToks. And it's really funny. It's not just trans shit that is what do they call it? Social contagion or something. It's not just that. All kinds of things. Tourette's was real big for a while.
What was it?
Tourette's was going around.
Oh, yeah.
All these young girls were catching, the ones that didn't realize they were a man were catching Tourette's off of TikTok.
That's hysterical.
Or people that stutter. I can't remember the name of the video, but if you look up, there's some famous person that was faking their Tourette's, this girl. And so people did like exposés on her. You know, whenever this happened, I wasn't paying attention to it. And they show the video of her and they go, the well-known Tourette's influencer. And they go, but was she faking it? And you see her by her brushing her teeth, like on her camera. She's just like hitting herself in the face with a toothbrush. It was like, it's so obviously fake. And I'm watching this. And that's the thing that I think is the experiment is you got all these platforms now connecting everybody. And you could see what goes viral and what goes like, everybody has a fucking craving to be like, what do they always say? To feel seen. You hear that shit? Mm-hmm. So when I was a kid and we were real religious, like you were always seen by the Lord wherever you are.
Right.
But all these people don't believe in that kind of stuff. So there's some craving to be like spied on, I guess. People have it deep down where somebody's watching, knows what's really going on with this.
Yeah.
And so that void's got to be filled. And it ain't just like people at top that want it. It's like a bunch of people want it.
Yeah.
They want it. Or just being a star or whatever the fuck stupid thing is. I want all these eyes on me and like in my personal shit.
Yeah, they don't care about their privacy. I mean, you remember like the Edward Snowden thing happened, I guess, around 2014.
Yeah.
And I was pretty involved in, I worked on 2 Ron Paul campaigns back in the day. And I thought once it's known that the NSA is actually spying on us, everybody's going to change. It's going to, and when nobody really reacted to that, I was like, oh man, we're in trouble.
Obama's doing it. He's a good guy, so it's probably good that.
Oh, we can trust him.
But even the NSA, I didn't understand when we did this stupid Patriot Act. I didn't understand what the fuck, how dumb that was.
Yeah.
When they blew up that guy that looked like Adrian Brody, that the Al Qaeda guy who they killed his son too. Like his kid was trying to find him in Pakistan, and he was their propaganda guy.
Okay.
Al-Ahari, or I can't remember. But anyway, I remember he was one that was an American citizen.
Yes, I remember that guy.
And it was like, well, he's an American citizen. They just executed him by drone. And I remember being like, well, citizenship revoked, motherfucker. Like, and, because I'm stupid. I was not at all cognizant that if they could do that to a citizen there, of course they will do it to you.
Yeah.
So everybody that doesn't like another group like that, that's the oldest psyop there is hate the motherfucker next to you.
Yeah.
And pretend like you're in a different tribe than them as long as you don't look upward. That's all you gotta do. Just hate whatever. It could be race or gender.
Yeah.
And there's a new one. The last 10 years, it all happened after Occupy Wall Street. Remember Occupy Wall Street was like, and all those Wall Street fucks, and I didn't like it. The kids with like conga drums and shit, and I didn't like them, but I was like, that's great. I hope these guys jump out the windows from just having to smell this and hear this all day.
Yeah.
And that's a scare. Somebody that would hate fucking, blue hair freaks being on their side again, that's a terrifying thing. So that was after the housing collapse and all that. Mm-hmm. That's when that piece of shit Larry Fink, that was the guy who sorted through all the paperwork after the crash.
Yep.
And then BlackRock, he has that shadow bank. But that's what all this was based on. Like, we can't ever have anybody turning on saying shit like the 1% ever the fuck again. And that's when you get this fake left or right where it's like your identity. So like, let's say you're a really rich motherfucker. You could be oppressed because you qualified on identity reasons why you should,
Exactly.
And it doesn't cost anybody who's rich anything. And when I say rich, I don't even mean like, like, I don't know, my friends in entertainment or whatever. Like, I mean like the real deal. I don't mean like almost middle class.
Sure.
Like, this is a nice place. That's like middle fucking class at best. The way it's not even the 1% anymore. It's like 0.000. That's how much the shit trickled up.
Right.
And that's why all the shows suck and all the movies suck and everything has this like fucking DEI corn syrup added to it, like it's subsidized.
Yeah.
And because you don't have to have a consumer thing anymore. It's not even consumerism. It's capital. it's capital, investment capital, and you just do whatever it is to have them hand you that money, almost as if it was the government, as if you were getting money from the government for a grant. That's what these companies have done for the last, I don't know, since the tech thing got really going. You want rounds of investment. So like that thing Twitch, that channel that fucking Zoomers watch people play video games on, and they haven't been profitable. Most of these companies haven't been profitable the whole fucking time. And I've heard of it where they have to cook the books to not look profitable because you want to qualify for another round of venture capital.
Yeah.
So at no point does it matter of getting people. That to me, that's the big conspiracy, is to move everything away from you as the customer. The customer's not right. And in fact, rather than you paying for things you want, we're going to ram things down your fucking throat.
Right.
And these people that want it are so wealthy, they can just pay for it to go. They can lose money and just pay for it to happen.
Well, you look at like the stock market right now, like breaking all-time highs, and we know the economy is shit overall, though. It's obvious that there's just something, it just is not adding up. And, they propped this thing up. They've, printed so much money, man. I mean, you think about Trump did it first, and then Biden. They just keep, having them print more money.
Well, guess what? That now that BRICS thing happened, that's and we reported on that on Jimmy's show like, that's a while ago now. I remember I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound good, and I didn't hear anybody talking about it. And if I did hear like a regular like mainstream source that would know about that, they would be like. Pfft. Or your Peter Zeihan fucking guy. You ever see that fucking guy?
No.
Oh my God, I hate his guts. Peter Zeihan, he's like a global economics analyst.
Oh, gotcha.
And I think he used to work for like Stratfor or some shit like that. And it's just like him. So when this Ukraine fucking abortion happened, which I don't even know, most people I know didn't even really give a shit about any part of it. But friends of mine that are like, especially like if they're depending on what level of working in showbiz they are, be like, oh yeah, there's automatically got to be on that side.
Oh,
and right out of the gate, you could tell it's going to be a fucking loser if you knew anything about anything. If you even just read these same sources like Vice or like when the Charlottesville Tiki Torch March happened, they were going on about Ukraine because it's filled with Nazis. There was a sister march the same time as Charlottesville. A bunch of people from that moved to Ukraine after because they really get it out there. And all these like liberal kind of, like Brooklyn journalists, they all wrote about it nonstop up until about 2018 or 19. All of a sudden, that's Putin talk. There's not.
Interesting.
Zelensky's Jewish. How could they have a Nazi problem?
Right.
That's a good point. How could Will Smith be gay? He's married. Genius. You ever heard of a beard? But anyway, big waste of money. Probably about like 160 billion that we kind of know of.
Yes.
But I would say do the Carlitos way and double that.
Yeah.
So that means probably about 300. And for what? Like all their population is killed.
Yeah. What do you think that's about actually?
A bunch of shit. It was BlackRock with their wheat. Like they use our like shitty Monsanto whatever kind of shit like we have.
Yeah.
And all these other markets in the other countries were going to get flooded with their wheat. That guy James O'Keefe.
Yeah.
He does good undercovers of some of these people. And this guy who's explaining BlackRock's gonna make all this money on Ukraine. That's just one aspect though. There's also, arms. There's also our bio labs. You ever see that?
Which part?
Where Marco Rubio's questioning Victoria Nuland. She's a pig from the State Department. She's a piece of shit. And basically every piece of shit since George W. Bush is still there in some capacity. That's what the deep state is. People don't, So this is fascinating. Marco Rubio's, he goes, he's not doing this to nail her because all of them are on board that, we got to weaken Russia. Like I give a fucking shit.
Right.
Well, Russia, we got to really support Ukraine. So he goes, there's all these people saying there's bioweapons labs in Ukraine, and that's obvious. That's silly. Like, and she goes, well, we're just worried because there are bio labs. Like what? Oh, they're not weapons labs.
Right.
What's the difference between a bio lab and a bioweapon lab? I bet it's not much.
Right.
I bet it's and you're worried it's not weapons, and you're worried Russia will get their hands on it because why? They might steal the great cures to diseases you're working on. So there's all kinds of creepy shit. It's the most corrupt country in Europe, and all these fuckheads have been laundering money through there since, I don't know, a very long time.
Yeah.
And all the neocons and neo-libs that want to have, where we're like, we rule the world with a post-world order.
Yeah.
It sounds very, or Reich, if you will. The post-World War II order. I mean, it's, what do people think? Like that we're doing good around the world?
Yeah, no. I mean, it's incredible when you think about a country like Ukraine, and we're basically going into World War III. And, what's crazy to me right now, like 20 years ago, the liberals were against the war. No,
they're way into it now.
And now they're like the Democratic Party is the party of war.
Well, the stock market thing you mentioned, it's a bunch of tech stocks and, of course, your Raytheons and your, I forget all the other, Lockheed Martins and all that. Your unusual whale trades.
Yeah.
Probably a good way to trade. I always forget. I'm like, I should invest in these weapons companies because you really just got to read the news. There's just the regular news won't really talk about this shit, but it's not like you can't find the information.
Right.
And I never think to use it for investment purposes.
Hey, there's apps that you can invest like Pelosi or, like you can just go
Unusual
in.
whales, yep.
Yeah. It's pretty smart. I've never done it, but.
You know who does even better than Pelosi? Who's the guy, Republican guy with the eye patch? He's like Solid Snake.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, Dan Metal Gear. That fucking guy. He's better than her.
Yeah.
At investing.
Really?
Yeah. It really is a uniparty. Anybody that's talking about how we got to go around the world to do whatever.
It's ridiculous.
Or here's one that really upset me because people still say bullshit to this day. The Chinese spy balloon. Remember the Chinese spy balloon?
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna tell you something. I don't think it was a spy balloon. I think it was just a fucking balloon. I think the company from China that said there was unusual weather patterns and it happened to blow it all the way over there. It's I don't think they spy by balloon. I just don't think that's a thing they do.
Yeah.
They got Chinese people bum rushing the border right now that are not way better than balloons.
Right.
They got TikTok. They got plenty of better ways to spy. You really think a big school bus sized balloon is the way? And everybody's go, oh, and it came all the way from China.
Yeah.
So you ever see our bases that we have in the Pacific?
Oh, yeah.
We surround China, by the way, on all sides. So this balloon, this spy balloon, got past all of our bases.
Yeah.
Nobody spotted it. And then went through Canada and then went to Billings, Montana. I could have told, for $60, I'll tell China everything about Billings that they need to know.
Yeah.
They're the third drunkest city. They're proud of that. And they're third best at it. Yeah, so that was all. Then they were like, oh, maybe it was a couple UFOs. We don't know. And then it all shook out that it was definitely a spy balloon because it had transmitting power. It's just bullshit. And Biden couldn't acknowledge, they go one flew over when Trump was in. It also wasn't a spy balloon. Do you think there's anybody that's spying by balloon?
Right. Yeah, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I mean, like you said, they have TikTok.
They can turn your kids gay with TikTok. They don't gotta. Dude. Now they're sending balloons to finish the deal.
Well, I mean, Alex Jones said they're turning the frogs gay. He called it. Now they're turning the kids gay.
I mean, he was way off because gay is somewhat conservative. It's like a mutated. The frogs are having their genitals mutated. I guess frogs can change sex though, if need be, naturally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they if there's not enough female frog, they'll transition naturally. But the chemicals, I can't remember the name of the company, was triggering their trans Hulk transformations or something, and making them deformed. And it's in all the water. Everything's poison too, by the way. So
that's why I try to drink the good water in the glass.
It's all I don't know. Look, I never believed I was a Jehovah's Witness growing up, and it's just like a standard kind of like doomsday cult,
What was that like growing up as Jehovah's Witness?
I'd probably like being a Mormon, but with more knock-knocks. Probably it's one of the two knock-knock religions. I'm not bitter of growing up. I left when I was 20. But, we didn't vote or join the military because it was unchristian to do that. You can't be in the army and go kill a Christian in another country. Remember in Iraq? Mm-hmm. Here's who we really fucked. All the Christians of Iraq. They're Chaldean Christians. I can't remember the other name, but they're Assyrian. ASSI. That's one of the earliest when Jesus was alive, close to the time of that Christianity.
Yep.
It's older than like whatever anybody does here. We just ruin their fucking lives there.
Yeah.
Like they had an apocalypse. You know?
I had an Uber driver from Iraq that was a Christian, and he was praising Saddam Hussein. He's like,
Yeah.
he was the best. He protected us, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Think of the fucking murderers that we all fucking love here that were the president.
Yeah.
And if they kept you safe, and it's the exact same fucking thing. And I was in a car, a Lyft, and the guy was, he was Armenian, but he was from Syria. He was telling me, like, no, Assad's good. I don't know if you know this, in Syria, where we occupy the oil part of their country illegally, we work with Al-Qaeda. They rebranded their name for us.
Oh.
Yeah, it's come full circle. We're back to friends again.
I see.
A little bit of ISIS, too. So that General Soleimani that Trump blew up, right?
Yeah.
And I saw the CIA guy, Mike Baker, on Rogan. Like, that guy wasn't out. Yeah, he was. We wanted him out of the picture because we wanted ISIS to wreak havoc on. That's the kind of bullshit that's been going on the whole time. So when the Hillary's emails got leaked, which wasn't from Russia.
Nope.
I think it was the guy that got killed, that Seth Rich kid, because of how dodgy the FBI is about the evidence.
Yeah.
Anyway, when that happened, that's when that Podesta, AQ is on our side in Syria. That's what that message was. So same shit. Osama bin Laden was a freedom fighter. You see the New York Times article?
Oh, yeah, Mujahideen.
We've never stopped doing. That's why we'd armed Nazis in Ukraine. They're not all Nazis, all the people, just the ones that we armed to coup the government.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that like to fight and really wanted to have this fight. They're not the majority party. They don't have to be. They're armed. So if they don't like a thing, they can change it.
Yeah.
And so what do you think's gonna happen when that blows back on us? Oh, it's gonna create jobs. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. No, I mean, you think about that. Like you're talking about, we did it with the Mujahideen, Osama bin Laden, freedom
Rambo
fighters.
fought with them bravely.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Rambo fought with the fucking Taliban. Yeah, that was a great movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, against Russia. It's sad, dude. How old are you?
42.
All right, yeah, so I'm 46. So I feel bad for these kids that don't have like a Saddam Hussein or Osama bin Laden,
To worry about.
Well, just like such a better fucking movie guy. Was such a better bad guy.
Yeah.
Lame ass. I don't give a fuck about Putin. I've never understood why I'm supposed to give a shit about Putin. Nobody, am I supposed to think that they hacked Hillary? I think that's why a lot of shit lib friends of mine, especially in New York. New York is real prime stupid now with that shit. LA used to be the dumber city by a lot.
Yeah.
Nope. New York is probably one of the most masky, still wearing a mask places. I mean, it is a filthy city, but you live there, dude. Build up your immune system while you're there.
When you see somebody wearing a mask, what do you think?
Oh, I always do a joke about it. They're like a fat kid in a pool wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable, I guess.
Right.
It's not doing anything. But some people just like it. They like the feel. Now you get why all those women didn't want to stop wearing burqas in some of them countries. They really enjoy the protection and the
right.
There were videos of supposedly Iran was having, all the women are like, we're not wearing these headscarves anymore, and they're burning them, like a face bra burning.
Yeah.
Right. But in the video, I remember this video at the time, so they're throwing their veils in. They're still wearing fucking COVID masks.
What are you doing?
I'm sick of covering up. I'm more cover. I don't I don't believe any single goddamn thing I say, especially around world events, because everything I've ever heard since I was a kid has turned out to not. I can't think of a single thing that turned out to be real.
That's true.
Dude, I can't think of one. Of all the things where they're like, this is okay. Remember We Are the World with Michael Jackson for Ethiopia?
Yep.
And the guy from the Boomtown Rats, which is Bob Geldof. Right, they did a big charity thing to help. And the money that was raised just went to this fucking warlord group that spent it all on weapons and made it much worse in Ethiopia for quite some time. It actually harmed Ethiopia.
Interesting.
They did a massive concert to ultimately harm Ethiopia, which is, sure, that's not what the guy intended.
Sure.
But that's what happened. And the guy, they're called the Tigray Liberation party front, some bullshit like that. Anyway, long story short, the head of that group is the head of the WHO, the WHO. His name's Dr. Tedros something.
Yep. Yeah, that guy.
And that motherfucker's he's Eritrean. It's an Ethiopian version of a Nazi, this motherfucker.
Really?
And that party he fronts, and I think it was some kind of like, he got appointed to that job, I think by Bill Gates. He got appointed that as like, okay, he's been a good boy and don't we want it around. You know, all these fucking people that we arm to do fucking vicious crimes.
Yeah.
You know, they get rewarded down the line. And so now he's the guy in charge of the WHO.
I didn't realize
nobody knows that story. I only know it because we had an African reporter on Jimmy's show that was telling us about it.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't remember her name, but she's Ethiopian. She was explaining the politics of it. And I was like, oh, wow, I've never heard the truth about anything. You know, why am I always being surprised to seeing, Osama bin Laden's in the New York Times, it says freedom fighter. I'm like, oh, how about that?
How about that?
That's every goddamn thing. Okay. When War of the Worlds broadcast, you know, this is one of my favorite fake things. Orson Welles famously did the War of the Worlds broadcast, and people freaked out in New Jersey.
Yep.
And they made a movie about it, and they study it in schools to this day, mass psychology. And that didn't fucking happen. It didn't happen at all. One or two people called the police, because by the way, the broadcast said this isn't they said this is a radio teleplay and not reality. It was clearly in the broadcast. So nobody was fooled. A couple people who tuned in and just didn't hear the thing called the police and go, this can't possibly be a real thing. The police like, no, it's just a show. They're like, oh, thank you, officer. That's what happened. The newspapers, because radio was a new medium, like YouTube or whatever, and it's a threat. It was a threat to the papers because people were getting their information off the radio. You know, it's like how, and so they are smearing it.
Oh, they were saying this is dangerous.
And one paper said it. I know the New York Daily News was one. I can't remember all the names of papers, and they just spread it around, and it became a fucking fact.
That's unbelievable.
It's in The Gray Lady Winks is the name of the book. It's all about all the fake shit in the New York Times, the paper of record. But all these things like, remember in Titanic, the rich guy with who fakes to get off the boat? He goes, please, she's all I have.
Yep.
Billy Zane. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really paint him to be like a piece of shit, right? So in real life, that guy tried to get as many people onto the lifeboats as he could, and once he was sure there was no one left, there were extra seats on the boat, and he got on. That's what actually happened.
Oh, wow.
But the guy, I'm blanking on his name, you know, the famous publisher that Citizen Kane's about.
That's all good, man.
That guy had a grudge against this other guy. So in his paper, he just wrote this slander about him that spread around.
Hearst. William Hearst.
That's right. William Randolph Hearst.
Yeah.
He had a grudge against this guy because that's what to this day is how it works.
Yeah.
If a billionaire owns a paper and doesn't like another billionaire or a millionaire, then the paper will go, but they'll just do everything to like fuck with their shit.
Yeah.
So that's in a movie, and that's like a fact now. But whatever, take your pick of things. It takes about 20 or 30 years to find out what actually happened. Columbine, the trench coat mafia. Remember Columbine,
Yeah.
the biggest school shooting? And Chris Rock had a joke about, they didn't have friends. Like, I could at least, two people you could play like half-court basketball. No, none of that was true. They weren't part of it. Trench coat mafia wasn't a thing. The press just added that. No, one guy was a psychopath, the other guy was a follower. And they might have done some gay shit. The kid, Matthew Shepard. Remember that big story? They made so many movies. The guy that was hung on a fence, the gay guy that got beat up?
Yes.
Because he hit on a straight guy in Laramie, Wyoming. Well, that turns out, guy went and investigated, wrote a whole book about it. The guy that beat him to death had fucked him before. They're meth heads. See, at the time, Wyoming had a meth problem, a burgeoning meth problem, and this was before Breaking Bad made meth cool again. So they really went with this narrative on that when really it was about just meth bullshit, okay? Like, it turned into a whole different story. Every dumb, empty head fucking actor. Remember they made a thing called the Laramie Project where it's basically like they took the footage of interviewing the townsfolk, right, which would make a documentary, and instead of showing that, they got big Hollywood actors to act as those people doing the documentary. So it's a thing where I'm like, what are you needed for?
Yeah.
Hollywood people, you just show the story. Why do you need to come and portray the lady at the diner who heard about it.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking propaganda bullshit.
Propaganda.
They're not in on it. They're all dumb fuck whore actors. They're just like, oh, this is so important. That's how it's always been. Yeah. Sean Penn, he's Mr. Ukraine. You see that guy?
Yeah.
I ain't seen him lately.
Mr. Ukraine. That's
yeah.
right.
Zelensky's pal that he's been real quiet lately. Just everything, all this Hollywood shit is kind of the propaganda mill. Like, it hasn't been taken over. It always was that.
Yeah, no,
it's
absolutely.
always been just like China, just like Russia. It's always been like that. And if you're born into it, I guess you don't notice. I was in Jehovah's Witnesses and didn't believe in any of this shit. But now I can't even believe how much I don't believe. Yeah. It's like way beyond just the minor, oh, they're all bad. It's not normal bad. It's just, I don't think a lot's changed. I think it's just for some reason easier to notice because I think they hired like people who weren't qualified to run a matrix. Like DEI hired the matrix runners.
That's hilarious.
Instead of like really like, are they good at making a matrix? Like, no, well, they're diverse.
Yeah.
Hey, this isn't good. It's something like that. Like the kids take over of the and they're, they're stupid fucking. What's that private school where who's James O'Keefe? This is another hilarious on the cover. So Chicago private school, $40K a year. It's like middle school kids, I think. Mm-hmm. And it looked like a sketch. The undercover is talking to the dean. He goes, well, we just have people come in to show them sex toys and dildos and butt plugs. And they just pass them around. They look at them and play. And the guy's like, well, don't you think your parents will be mad? He goes, what? It's gay sex. It seems like a joke, okay?
Yeah.
And then I'm laughing because it's a $40,000 a year private school. So you're telling me your fucking kid can't figure out how to use a butt plug on it? Like $40K a year to figure out where a butt... Put it in whatever. You did it right. Like a fucking monkey could figure out what fits in its asshole. $40K. And now it made me laugh. Like, because that shows you, I would say you have to be wealthy to afford a $40K a year middle school for your kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, that shows you what punks, like, I'm sure they would rather have their kids in the elite schools that are teaching them, Hobbes' Leviathan and how to divide and conquer the petty tribes. That's what they learn in, like, your real top schools, not butt plug 101.
Right.
That level of rich is still a fucking chump. We're like, no, we're just going to kind of make your kids gay and whatever. And meanwhile, we'll be ruling over you.
I mean, you got to think about how crazy it is that, you said you thought it was a joke, but like that shit's seriously. They're actually doing that.
Yeah, that's how you can tell why. When the joke is so obvious now that everybody has to be like the guy from The Office. Like, are you seeing this? That's just one long, like, cringe and look at the camera moment for everyone. And I think the main thing is holding your livelihood over you.
Yeah, man.
A lot of shit's designed around that. So that's why health insurance is always tied to your employer. That's why everything's how designed. It's designed to make you a slave without you feeling like a slave.
Without knowing it, yeah.
So debt, every single fucking thing is designed specifically for that. And then it will become that eventually.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. I didn't even really think about how there's been so many lies over the years, over and over and over and over, and we seem to be wanting like a different result, which is complete insanity.
It's like our foreign policy is like a addict.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to go to war and get them. Like, is that going to work? I remember very vividly because I was in New York when 9/11 happened, and they're like, and I was on board for whatever. Yeah, go bomb. Somebody should blow up for a funny hat that I don't have in my country. We should blow up for this. I don't give a shit. I remember everybody of all races were really united on this.
Yeah.
It was actually when the blackout happened in New York, right after and the one in the 70s had been like mass chaos. But because of 9/11, it just was like this cool citywide party where everybody was chill. It's because 9/11 had literally brought people together like that during a fucking blackout. Okay, so when they're like, we're going to Afghanistan first, right? And they're like, we're going to bomb them back to the Stone Age. And then like another guy on a news show would go like, what do you mean? They're already in the Stone Age. Anyway, long story short, we lost that war. 20 years later, we lost, okay? Fucking Iraq. Well, I don't know if that was a full 20 years. Lost that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which war did we win since Grenada?
Yeah.
Also, we didn't actually fight any wars because they didn't declare war in any. The last time we declared war was World War II.
Yeah, that's true.
We haven't fought on the books a single war since before I was born, and yet all I can remember is nonstop being at war.
Well, what's interesting too is Congress is supposed to declare war, so you're supposed to have Congress declare war, but the presidents just go in and do.
The police act. Vietnam gave us that, the police action, which is because of domino theory, right? If Vietnam goes communist, all the other places will. I got a question because I always thought communism doesn't work personally, but I'm not saying I know everything, but I feel like it didn't work. So what I've been told, it just doesn't work. So why would you need to spend all this blood and money to fight a thing that literally doesn't work?
That's
Why?
a good point.
Okay, it doesn't work. Like Cuba, like why don't you let them fucking fail since it doesn't work? I don't understand. Like you don't need help on a thing that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But I guess we do. And so Vietnam disaster.
Why would we go? Think about that. Why would we go fight in Vietnam over communism? Like what was the actual?
Because the same reason Ukraine. They're still using that. If Russia doesn't lose, they'll think they can just go into another person's country. I mean, first of all, someone to say that like straight face.
Yeah.
Say that again. He'll think he could just go into other people's countries and do it. He will. He will think that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and then I always want to know, like, okay, so is it just a given that we can do that? Is that what this is? And if so, why? Because it's been a failure. So Vietnam lost. They're doing great without it. Oh, by the way, communism fails everywhere? Well, not Vietnam, actually.
Right.
It's a great vacation spot. Oh, does it fail? It's never worked anywhere, except in this one country that we lost to, and it works for them better than China. They're not even as... Okay, so then what? Grenada, that's the one with like 13 people on a zombie island. I don't remember exactly the particulars. Every other single thing is a loss.
Yeah, no.
There's not a single goddamn... The Somalia thing, there's movies about us losing in there. I don't think Bosnia anybody won. I think it was just and they probably didn't even need to have that war. They already done talks to get that Milosevic guy to cut it out.
Probably didn't need to, yeah.
But once the wheels are in motion, we're going to do it. Let's see, 2 Iraqs. It's just when I was a kid, the first Iraq, when I was a little kid, the first Iraq war.
Yep.
And I remember Kuwait, never heard of Kuwait before.
Was it Desert Shield? Was it?
That was Desert Shield. No, Storm. I thought it was Desert Storm.
Yeah, I forget which one.
Norman Schwarzkopf.
Oh, and we got light into that war too. Did you see the video of the ambassador? It was a girl crying about
That's what I was talking about.
In Kuwait.
The girl, yeah. And they threw a baby on the floor at the nursery.
And then she's testifying to Congress. Nobody knows it's the ambassador's daughter. It's propaganda.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what,
It's amazing I had to sign that Smith-Mundt Act when you realize they've been doing propaganda the whole time, but they just don't want to get legally in trouble.
Yeah.
It's not like torture being legal. Obviously, we're going to torture, but to make it legal you're fucked up.
Exactly.
You make it illegal to really just cut down on the torture. You just want to have some limits on torture.
You can't say torture's a good thing. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do in war, but I mean, that was pretty wild too when they were, suggesting these things weren't. Oh, it's not torture, because then they could eventually turn it on us, man. That's the whole point.
They're gonna. They do. If you get, who's the one that Glenn Greenwald is a WikiLeaks Chelsea Manning, who was Bradley Manning and then transitioned to Chelsea Manning.
Yeah.
Obama basically tortured her in prison, and then finally it was good optics to release Chelsea Manning for the crime of revealing a bigger crime. And Julian Assange is still, they're going to try to kill him in prison. Man. He's not even charged with anything. It's and no one, anybody go, oh, our democracy, and you bring him up. I just watched either their eyes roll or they go blank. Or it's scary. That's like a scary thing. Like, you have no memory of anything?
Yeah. It's
like, I remember all these, I got garbage can memory, dude. And I keep seeing the same repeating pattern. And I'm not that smart. I just how do you keep falling for it every fucking time?
Every single time, man. It's like, it is insanity. I mean, you think about what's happened with Assange too. I mean, he hasn't been charged with the crime. The CIA set him up in, I think it was Sweden before.
Yeah, with the fake rape case. Yeah, that's a popular one. Oh, that's another fake. Russia's handing out Viagra so they can rape the troops, so they can rape people.
Gosh, that's so stupid.
Gaddafi, he used to take Viagra so he could rape. Saddam Hussein had rape rooms of rape. People go, I don't think we should go to Iraq. He has rape rooms. Like, what the fuck are you talking?
Yeah,
it's a propaganda thing. And why is Viagra like? You would think there'd be some blowback on Viagra for this, for their pills constantly being used as weapons of war.
That's funny.
It's just a made-up thing they do every time. In fact, the Ukraine one, the lady who was in charge of making shit up got fired. Like right in the beginning of the war because she was laying it on too thick. She laid it on so the early shit you would hear was like Congo level, fucking stick rape, and like the third world level. They were like putting that out, and so people got so upset that real organizations decided to investigate because this is too terrible. And if they investigate, they're going to find out it's fake. So they got mad at the broad that wrote that bullshit and fired her.
Wow.
For not doing the propaganda right.
Dude, I was watching it in the beginning because now as we're getting into war with Russia, I'm like just watching the setup. I wanted to see. And Drudge Report, it's changed so much over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
It's like a completely different message. But, the messaging at first was, Putin has cancer and like there were these crazy
Drudge
headlines.
He probably is compromised on all.
He's got to be now.
This is another thing I didn't understand, but a lot of like all these outlets, if you see a message, nobody agrees with it other than people who work directly in those industries, right? It's usually a lot of them are intelligence cutouts, and I didn't know what that was. Aramonte explained it to me. PR is very closely connected, and in England especially, they have MI6 uses a lot of these. So there's this thing called Bellingcat that no one I've ever brought up to has ever heard of it. I never heard of it for a Jimmy show, but it's been on 60 Minutes, and it's like this independent journalist in England who is exposing the crimes of Putin. This brave guy. I'm just watching, like, oh wow, that's amazing. You're telling me about how bad another guy is in a place where you don't live, like. Where'd you find the courage to stand up and do that? But he's clearly a cutout. It's intelligence agents are using this to slip propaganda. So Bellingcats is like a WikiLeaks, but of a guy that only finds stuff that helps us and NATO.
Oh wow!
And thank God for him, because all the major outlets can just take whatever he says as gospel, and report it. The classic Dick Cheney move of New York Times even today reported that this and this happened, and he had called New York Times and. I heard this happen, and then quotes them. Yeah, they like launder their fake information. Yeah, that's how the level that they're involved in it is so much more than anybody thinks. And not only that, even if it's not some government agency, maybe not the CIA, maybe one you never heard of. There's 17 of them. If it's not them, it could be private intelligence because there's also that.
That's true.
Nick Kroll's dad from Kroll's show, famously, he what the fuck is his company called? Oh, Kroll and Associates. The CIA of Wall Street, it's known as. They're the ones that hired like ex-Mossad to spy on Rose McGowan for Harvey Weinstein.
Interesting.
Like Ray Donovan shit, if you ever saw that show. But like that's Nick Kroll's dad. And those private ones, so let's say you work for the agency, the CIA, and I mean, seems like you're allowed to do a lot of crazy shit, but you want to do something that you're technically not supposed to do, go to a private one. Or go to, or if you want to sell crack to the inner city. Remember that? The CIA brought crack in?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, the CIA did it. I remember being like, dude, I've apologized to every black friend I had in comedy whose conspiracy I dismissed. I haven't seen Godfrey in a while. When I see Godfrey, I'm like, oh my God, I owe you an apology. Every single fucking thing, of course they did. And they didn't just flood it with coke, guns, cheap Chinese guns. Remember all 90s fucking rap and all the like kind of, those were Chinese knockoff guns.
Interesting.
On purpose to fund the war in Nicaragua, and cocaine and crack to fund the fucking Contra bullshit. And it's 100% they did that. And I remember thinking that was, I don't know why I thought it was far-fetched.
Well, because it seems like, if you're a logical person and you're thinking, no, people aren't just that bad and they wouldn't be lying to us. Why would we think that they'd be lying to us? Now it's just so obvious.
Well, it almost reminds me like Jeffrey Dahmer, where like nobody does anything for a while, or like they bring the kid back to him that ran out of the house.
Yeah.
You're like, why would you believe? And then like looking back now, like he didn't eat someone. I know he ate someone like the last 15 times, but
Right.
there's something where you're supposed to forget everything that happened. That's what all these big event kind of psyops are, is to make you blank out on every other fucking thing going on. Because otherwise you would be looking at the record of this. So if the government was a person, you would never give it money or trust it.
No way.
Or believe it if it told you anything, because it lies a lot.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a person who's like, no, I have a right to lie to you. You do? Yeah, you should just trust me. And nothing goes right, by the way. Anytime you've ever trusted them,
Right.
every one of these things that they've killed more than Hitler at this point, pretty sure, every single one of them has been a fucking disaster, but then everybody's reset for the next. That's what I'm like, what causes that? How do you manage to make that happen? Like remember North Korea was going to get nukes?
Yep.
And like Trump was calling him Little Rocket Man.
Yeah, it's pretty
And
funny.
they were like, how could you do that? What if you piss him off and he kills us? I mean, Seth Rogen made a movie where they literally murdered him in the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe disturbed them more than
That was
Little Rocket
hysterical.
Man. And but it was a big scary thing, North Korea. Okay, and they're going to get nukes, and then we can't. And then they did. They did get nukes, and then my memory goes blank. And then when I came to, we were fighting over if women had dicks.
That's about how it went.
Yeah.
That's about how it went.
But I'm like, hey, remember that? And nobody remember. Like we bring up people who go like, oh yeah, or they're like on to the next. Dude, COVID is. Yeah, all the truth is going to come out now, and by the time it comes out, people are like, what? We're on to the new zombie virus.
Yeah. Why do you care? You know, that's the whole thing.
Yeah, why do you care?
Why do you care? I mean, the first week where they shut everything down, I was watching the news actually on TV. I don't really watch news on TV, but I was like, let's see, 3 or 4 days. I was having nightmares, man. I felt like I was being programmed. Like, what is going on? So
What news were you watching?
all the major ones, you know, CBS, ABC.
Well, they repeat themselves a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot of
It's
that.
worse than it was when I stopped watching it.
Yeah.
I'll be in an airplane sometimes, right? And it'll be on. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, there are only 3 stories that they want me to know about.
Yeah.
2 of them are the most meaningless things in the world. And the other one is just a pure lie. And instead of remember they go, 24-hour cable news.
Yeah.
What are we going to put on it?
Yeah.
There's not enough. People say this, they're like supposed to be smart. They're like, they shouldn't have made these 24-hour cable news shows because there's not enough news. There's not? Is that right? There's
Yeah.
not enough news? No, there is. They just don't want to talk about it. Like
Right.
shit in other countries. A lot of it's stuff we shouldn't probably talk about too much because
Yeah.
it don't look good. America's about, you don't have to give a fuck till it happens to you. That's what the deepest thing of America is, not giving a fuck until it happens to you.
Interesting.
And that was like what your luxury of living here was. But now it ain't like that. It's getting better. You know, like Dick Cheney when he had a gay daughter, and everybody was like, "No, he's gays," and he goes, "When I had a gay daughter, I realized that it's okay to be gay." Oh, that's big of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, then he broke the relationship, you know, a little later on over it. I mean, it's wild the amount of propaganda we're getting. It's wild how people just seem to be zombies. And I've been having a hard time lately, man. Like just putting it all together because logic has been like thrown out the door. And it's, you know, they're turning the universal truths, you know, upside down basically.
You know what? I just saw a thing recently about, you know, like inverting. Because I always see a lot of people talk about that, like the inversion of. I mean, it does look like a reverse through the looking glass version of everything. But so I get real into like all Bible scholarship, like the actual people that study like where they got it from and the translations and all that. Because the stories are so much different. The originals, before they get Disney retconned at whatever points in history, are very different stories.
Yeah.
And here's an example. Like I like to bring up a lot the Isaac and Abraham, where God says, sacrifice your son Isaac to me, and he takes him up the mountain, and then at the last minute God says, no, don't do it. Use this goat instead. You know, and I've heard people make jokes about it, and because it's a weird story, but the original story, he didn't tell him not to do it at the last minute. He said, go sacrifice your son, and Abraham took his son and then came back down alone. The end. That was the story they told when they first told that story. But when it finally got written down, there's the retcon.
Yeah.
Like, and so the idea of now I already knew this from being Jehovah's Witness, but the idea of you have a soul that goes somewhere, the ancient like Hebrews did not have that or believe in it ever. That was not their thing. They were pretty clear you die and you take, it's almost like taking a dirt nap, like what the language means. Like, and then gradually that idea started coming in from Greeks. That's a Greek idea. You know, your soul that goes on to another place. And then they inverted the idea. So the ancient Jews used to say life is good and God made this planet for us and it's good we have this and it's good to be alive, right? But then later it flips to, no, this is the worst place. This is a prison. You're in a prison. You got to think about heaven. You're going to a better place.
Yeah.
This place sucks. Complete, like a pole shift. And so now, so I think this flip has happened many times, what I'm saying, just like the poles shifting.
Yeah, man.
It wasn't like a lot of people, and I was deep in a religion, so you get, oh, these are like these eternal truths. Like some shit I do feel like is that, but it's amazing like what things, like people have like basic things we'll all agree on, and then when you get specific, it gets real fuzzy. And plus when you're being confronted where your options are this like repulsive death cult of a culture,
Well, you know,
people are going to turn like to Islam, dude. They're going to go way past just whatever born again, all the way to Islam, because you're going to have an opposite reaction to the extremes, you know?
yeah. No, to me, it's like simplified good versus evil. You know, there's like a lot of evil going on, and it's, you know, and we know
We got to define it first. What's good? Like, is God good because he does good things, or is God good because everything God does is good automatically because he's God, right? So that's like a big question, because one of them is like, he is good. Look what he did. The other one is, no, whatever I do is right because I'm God. And I grew up in a whatever I do, I'm right because I'm God view of it.
Yeah.
By the way, that's America. That's why they can talk shit about someone invading another country, a smaller country, without any sense of reflection. Well, we're America.
Yeah.
I felt like
We're
that.
good.
Yeah. If we say we're going to, all that shit, that's the attitude is like, whatever I do is automatically good because of who I am.
Right.
And but that whole idea of like the good and evil, black and white part of it, that's from Zoroastrianism. That's like Persian. Judaism didn't have a Satan or Satan like that. There's a story in Job. He was never, Lucifer, by the way, was never the devil. That was never the name of the devil. Some dipshit pulled that out of their ass later, interpreting a thing that had nothing to do with the devil. That Lucifer, that's a translation into that name, but just means morning star. And it was about a Babylonian king who acted like he was hot shit. And they were calling, morning star. Like they're making fun of him for being overthrown by the Persians. So that's who that refers to. Okay? It was like Venus. It was bright. They call it the North Star, the morning star. But over time, it got made into a name. Oh, this must be Satan. Or like the snake in the Garden of Eden. That wasn't Satan. It was a snake. It was a snake. Never says it's Satan. You taught to go back. Oh, that must have been Satan in disguise as a snake. Like, are you on meth? Why would you say? Satan, the Persians had Ahura Mazda and the other one that are like the light and dark. And that was a big influence on Judaism. And then Greek brought in the soul shit. Because they never had that. But what they did have was like demons, not like fallen angels. They had a whole range of daimons. That's a Greek version. I can't remember what they call it, but there was like Belial, all these names that people go, that's just Satan. No, it was separate characters, fucking separate characters. Or I'll bet you see a lot of, I always look up UFO shit, so people bring up the book Enoch all the time now.
Okay.
You know the book of Enoch?
No.
It's all about the Nephilim and the angels that came to have sex with women before the flood. You ever had Bible story? Yeah.
Not that one, no.
Oh, that's a classic. But all these UFO people, one thing I look out for when I'm trying to find anything about that is like when they try to make it, that explains the Bible. Or like that, like, yeah. I'm like, stop. You think it's got to be an actual, so the book of Enoch's about that, and the story of angels having sex with women to make giants sounds a lot like an alien hybrid program, if you want it to sound like that.
Yeah.
But that book was not written at the time the other books were written. It was made way later.
Interesting.
And also Enoch was probably just a knockoff of a much earlier character named Adapa that you'll never hear about when you watch people talk about. Right now is a good time if you're into like, it's the end of the world revelation kind of shit. It's a good time. So Jehovah's Witnesses, for example, is bigger than ever. I think when I was in, it was like 5 million. They probably got 10 million now.
Wow.
Well, it's an easy sell. The world's coming to an end. You want a ticket?
Aren't there like only a certain amount of
They
people
go to
that
heaven. The rest live on like Eden-like conditions on earth forever. Like Adam and Eve were supposed to live forever, right? And but they ate the wrong fruit, obviously, and then they that's why we die. But you're meant to live on the earth. That's why God made earth. And then there's a ruling class of 144,000 that will. I think in the Bible they're Jews, but they're like spiritual Jews. All this nonsense. I mean, it's all horseshit. Revelation was almost not even in the Bible because it's some horseshit. It probably didn't relate to anything within the other gospel or whatever. The John of Patmos is not a John the Baptist or something, a guy that wrote it. And I'm guessing it had to do with, Nero or whoever. The Revelation, because it's so vague, like it can always be applied to whatever. So we taught that the wild beast, people think that the Antichrist, you always hear about the Antichrist. That's bullshit. There's not the Antichrist. There's a scripture about there will be antichrists among you, which means people that are antichrist. Like, that's what that means. But there's got a whole fake story and lore about some guy that's coming. And then the wild beast that the whore rides on, and she's drunk on the blood of the prophets. They told us that the wild beast was the Anglo-American world power, and the whore was the churches. But you could plug in whoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
The whore is the comedians. And the beast is wokeness. It works because you can take it and apply it to you because it's just symbology.
So what do you think it is though? Like, so when I say good and evil, there's just like some obvious evils out there right now.
Like what?
And like the pedophilia. That's an example. And to me, watching what's going on with the woke movement, moving people to, children doing the gender affirming care, those type of things. That's evil to me. I think it's like an evil thing behind it. So that's kind of where I come from.
That phrase is like right there. That gender affirming care phrase is such a wormy fucking. People say it like it's a marketing phrase, and it's like, but it's just like calling a hand grenade an area denial, right? Like right there where you just said there's like the core of the evil. It's like money. The worst influence on everything has been money. Yeah. Love of money, that's the Bible says, love of money is the root of evil. Of course it is. So that's why, we're going to make a lot of money on this. And they opened up gender affirmative care clinics, probably in the same spots where the OxyContin clinics used to be.
Right.
They open up clinics all across America to give out OxyContin. Now they have it to chop your tits off. But it's a business. So, and that's what I think people can't get their head around, but you should, because how did you think shit works? And then, it's funny when you learn how shit works. Somebody goes, what? That's how it works.
Yeah.
You could say that. You could do all that gangster shit. What? That's our system.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But then I don't want to hear your fucking sanctimonious shit about somebody else in another country. He's an evil man and we must go in. Well, what did you do? Hey, come on, grow up.
Right.
The hypocrisy is getting to be like a little sickening. It really is like overwhelming.
It is. It's overwhelming. That's what I talk about with the evil too. What's evil? Killing people. I mean, it's evil. Going to these wars and being. I almost think it's evil now if we just accept it too, because we're accepting it over and over and over again, and people are being hurt, people are being killed.
That's what the you don't got to look. If all these rich people are in the woods, drinking a baby in robes with a lizard, that's like the least of the bad things they're doing. And all the real bad shit, they do it right in front of your goddamn face while you blank out like a horror movie. I'm like, what? I don't know. Like Ukraine, we killed all their young men. We got them all killed as crash dummies in a proxy war for what?
Yeah.
They're putting old men, retarded people, and women on the front lines now. That's how bad they're. None of the numbers are real that they say. They've probably lost by 500,000
Wow.
Easy. Okay. They kept saying they were beating Russia. They were never beating Russia.
Right.
Okay.
Propaganda.
Oh yeah, I'm glad they're kicking Putin's ass. No, they're not. They're going to lose, and they're going to lose. It's going to be your money going to these murders.
Yeah.
It's not good for Ukraine what we did. They would have more territory if we just did nothing.
Yeah.
They'd be doing way better. And so you'd think now we would quit. No, we're going to still fucking sneak money to them. And then my favorite, Israel, I don't know if you know what they're doing over there. And I've never looked into it until now. I especially wouldn't look into that because I didn't see any benefit to me of knowing jack shit about what the fuck goes. I used to date an Israeli girl for 10 years, okay? And even she would get, I mean, with no opinions about it, like, well, it seems weird. She'd get very emotional. I'm like, this is not worth like, you want some money? I would just calm her down. Like, but after they got done talking about what a devil Putin is, remember that they're going to bring him for human rights violations in the International Criminal Court because they were kidnapped. There was a whole thing, MSNBC. He's kidnapping, basically evacuated kids that spoke Russian to Russia. Mm-hmm. It's a kidnapping. They're going to bring them on charges. And that was comical because we can't do that. First of all, we don't belong to that court. The court for war crimes, we don't belong to that court. George W. Bush took us out back in the Iraq War.
Interesting.
They passed the Hague Invasion Act, which states if you ever try to prosecute any of us in the Hague, we will invade the Hague and get them. We reserve the right to do whatever the fuck we want. Also, Russia doesn't belong to that court. And also, Ukraine doesn't belong to that court. So it's a fucking joke. Yes. They're like, oh, he's going to be brought up on war crimes. What? Well, how? We're immune from that. The generals didn't want them doing. The State Department, I guess, puts out propaganda. Pentagon was like, don't hype up this war crimes thing because that opens us up to a lot of, because all the war crimes we did.
Of course.
So now, they killed about 20,000 people in Gaza. The day Hamas attacked, I can't remember, it was like 1,300 people. And now they killed 20,000. Most of them were not members of Hamas. They were just regular people. Yeah. And what's funny is watching, because you can't get reliable news on it. I would say look at Israelis news. American news, you cannot get, you're going to get bullshit. Israeli news is more honest by a mile about what they do in Israel, such as that guy funded Hamas for many years.
Yeah.
Like, oh, did people support Hamas here? Why? Because they tweeted? That's not support.
Yeah.
Sending them briefcases full of cash and weapons and shit, I feel like that's support.
Yeah, absolutely.
That blew up in your dumb fucking face.
Yeah.
And
it's like the U.S. with the Mujahideen.
Yeah, well, those are we got a lot of friends out there that help us make good decisions.
Yeah.
And it's just such whiplash to go from Putin as a criminal, a war criminal, to we need to do another Dresden. This is Israel saying this. We need to do a Dresden. You know Dresden from World War II? When we firebombed, Kurt Vonnegut wrote about it in Breakfast of Champions because he was there. He was hidden with some GIs trapped when they were firebombing Dresden. It was a purposeful attack on a civilian population with fire.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like one of the craziest, but well, it was Germany in the war. Fuck them. I remember when I heard of it, I'm like, yeah, it sounds bad, but whatever. But I'm watching an ambassador talk about what's going on in Gaza when it first started.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing Jimmy was about to bring it up, the story, and I saw Dresden. I'm like, oh, I bet I know what this is. This Israeli ambassador is going to be saying that's outrageous. You would compare what we're doing to Dresden. That's what I thought the story would be, because it's widely known to be a war crime. No, I'm wrong. She was saying, remember Dresden? We have to do that.
What?
Yeah. See, watch them talk. You don't have to watch
wild.
nobody else talk except the Israeli politicians themselves. And what you realize is they haven't had 10 years of wokeness. So they're not aware. It's like people with foreign parents that they're like, oh, dad, like they can't relate to our Western pussy sensibility.
Right.
They haven't had any of that bullshit put on them. So they're openly talking like it's right after 9/11 kind of violence.
Yeah.
Which I remember, but now looking back 20 years, I'd be, that's crazy. I thought that way. They're saying this shit now.
Well, but I mean, if they wanted to kill all the Palestinians, though, wouldn't they just?
No, they could all leave. They could all get the hell out too.
I mean, it's
They want to drive them out of their land or kill them. That's what Gaza was this whole time. Did you know that? It was a concentration camp where they concentrated all of them in one spot and had it embargoed all the way around for the last 20 years, which I just forgot about because I didn't give a shit about any of that. Well, and while you make this 2 million people compressed into an area more dense than Tokyo, and you have it walled off, and they're calculating the calories they're allowed to have. Imagine that shit. Because they're like, this is how much to like live but not do terror on us. They have actual people decide how much food could go in based on calorie per person.
Really?
Yeah, it sounds a little German precise, doesn't it? So, okay, you did that. And then on top of it, this fucking genius BB was propping up Hamas. Hamas is like a prison gang in this big prison they have.
Yeah.
They're not the only one. There's a bunch of other ones in there. They were the ones that BB propped up on purpose. Oh, why are they in prison like that? Because when we made them have free and fair elections, they voted for Hamas. And they were like, oh, no more fucking, they voted bad. So Israel put a barricade around them and an embargo. We forgot about it. I forgot about it. I remember at the time, like, that seems a little unfair. They can't have like anything. And I just didn't think about it. And then 17 years went by while this asshole paid a fucking terror group because they didn't want a two-state solution. This is according to him. It's not secret. They all say this shit out loud. He goes, we have to support Hamas to keep a two-state solution from happening. Okay? So that blew up and it was a disaster. He was already in trouble, apparently, before this because he's corrupt. And the right wing over there is are psychopaths. And so a bunch of people, a bunch of Israelis were getting sick. They don't have a constitution. He was like stacking the court to override what other people want for this like Likud party. And so he was in a politically bad situation. And then this thing happened. And now it's like, oh, well, we'll talk about it later. Right now, we got to go defeat Hamas. So Hamas is probably about 20,000 people total in Hamas. They have not killed that many of Hamas. They're not going to wipe out Hamas. What they're doing is taking the rest of Gaza. There's huge natural gas reserves underneath it.
Yeah, that was actually a new finding, right? They had that.
Oh, it was a finding way back when. I didn't know about it back then because I purposely didn't look at it. But what I would say is, you don't have to get into does Israel have a right to exist? Sure. I wouldn't even bother getting into that argument. It's there.
Yeah.
It's everybody wants to argue about the past. Right now, listen to the things coming out of their fucking mouth right now. And then I'll tell you what you need to know. You don't got to watch any TikToks. You don't have to look at any of the blow up pictures because who knows if those are reliable. Listen to the people from there in their own words, what they're saying. And then you realize, oh, you're very close to like those ISIS people I thought were crazy. You're very close to them.
So they're actually on the news doing it, like they're talking openly.
Oh, you guys see Wolf Blitzer talking to. I'll find it for you, dude. Wolf Blitzer's talking to. I can't remember what this guy's position is, but they had just blown up this refugee camp of like 400 people because they thought this one Hamas guy was there.
Yeah.
Okay, so and Wolf Blitzer, who used to work for AIPAC before he was a newsman, he goes, "Oh, that's 400 people to just get one guy." He's saying it like that. The guy goes, yeah, well, that's war. They kept saying, oh, well, war sucks.
Yeah.
Can Putin say that? He said that. Wolf Blitzer goes, well, did you get the guy? He goes, we don't know.
Oh, my God.
And you could see the hello, darkness, my old friend. You can see that on Wolf's face.
Yeah.
We have to go to commercial. So I've been watching all those. Or just watch BB talk with subtitles in Hebrew. Everybody's a jerk off if they really... By the way, Israel's losing. I hate to tell everybody. We're losing. We cannot win a war against China or Russia. We don't have enough people. That's why you need all these illegal immigrants in the army. We gave all of our fucking munitions to Ukraine. We don't make enough to replace it at all. I don't even know why I want a war with China, why we sent all our jobs there back in the day if we were going to have to fight them. I don't really get it, but what I realize, it's not all your leaders are bought off and then these companies are making the decisions. It's real simple.
Yeah.
There's your Illuminati, every international corporation. And that's all the military complex, pharmaceuticals, food, all of it that's the thing I didn't realize. When they say military industrial complex, and you just think it's missiles and shit and whatever. It's everything. It's drugs, food, your fucking entertainment. Top Gun 2. You see Top Gun 2?
No, I haven't seen it.
It had no wokeness in it. It was to the point of being deafening, the silence on wokeness. It was clearly propaganda. Because they don't tell you who they're fighting. You don't know who the bad guy are. People go, I think it's Russia. And they never say that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's pure. And you get to make those movies with the cool shit because they send a guy. This is just normal. It's not even like, I used to make machinima for SOCOM. It was like a game for PlayStation, and they would make like cartoons like out of the games, So I'd write these scripts for heavy.com. And they have a rep that comes from the Army because their name, their IP and likeness and their weapons and shit are being used in a game. So they're there to make sure it's portrayed the way they want. Like you're in China. Like if you're in China and they send a guy from the government in uniform to make sure your movie is in line.
Yeah.
That's how all the movies I want to see, all the cool shit.
Yeah.
How do you think they get to use that stuff? Because they agree to be propaganda.
Yeah, man.
But it didn't seem that way. I've known about it forever. It didn't seem like anything. Or Call of Duty. Call of Duty. I remember when I used to run the video game awards, I wrote a joke for Sam Jackson about like, why do we have to keep fighting World War II every year? Like every 3 years, a World War II game comes out. Why?
Yeah.
Well, that was the good war. Okay? The war we did, see, sometimes what, and then all the new guns and shit they'll put in the game because they're getting that. It's like an advertisement. And it's not to get you to join the army because a lot of these fat fucks couldn't join the army. But it's just to get you in the mind. There's quotes when you die in it. They were like, war is hell and blah, blah, blah. The propaganda is to just get you conditioned.
Yeah. This
is the way the world works. So if you're not going to join, maybe you're a little curious, like, I'd like to try the real thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Or you just accept that that's how it is. And you're like, but I play Call of Duty. I don't join. But I do my duty by not giving that much of a shit about what we're doing in the real thing and playing this game.
Right.
Everything, like literally everything, if you think about it, is that has been that propaganda. And it was stuff I never thought was, but now looking back, clearly it was.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's crazy to think about it like that. Because we have been just lied to and lied to and lied to and lied to. And we expect a different result, which is, it is insanity.
They go, that's the definition of, that's a lie too. That's not the definition of insanity.
Right.
Einstein didn't say it, not the definition of insanity. I think the guy from AA said it. I'm a friend of Bill W. I think Bill W. was the guy who said it.
Oh, that's funny.
But they misattribute it to Einstein.
Yeah, well, and of course, that's not the real definition of insanity, but it does. It
is fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think people don't expect a different result. I think you got too many of your own problems during the day. Right?
Yeah, man. But, when they start going after the kids, which is, it's obviously going to end badly.
Do you know, I used to laugh because when they're doing the drag reading to kids and,
yeah.
And, that is, now, my parents probably would never have taken me to that. I don't know whose bitter single mom took them to that.
Yeah.
But they probably didn't stand a chance in other ways in life anyway.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, okay, so you go and listen to a man in a dress who probably shouldn't be around kids read a boring book. Like, is that different from church? Is it that measurably different, the dress and the molestations?
Yeah.
I can't believe Catholics weigh in on this. I'm like,
man,
I'm blown away watching Catholics talk about, Jesus was in that Sound of Freedom movie. Mel Gibson, Jesus is in it. He's the star. He's a devout Catholic. And Mel Gibson I always see these clips, Mel Gibson's blowing the lid on child. Like, aren't you guys Catholic? Like, what? Oh, yeah, quick, get the kids out of there. Put them safely in the church.
No, it's...
And then football's hilarious because it's like, there's all this molestation in that. And not to mention the brain damage that your kids get. People put their kids in fucking football, dude. They need a helmet for both ends of the child. You just got to be vigilant at all times. You can never assume some place is safe for a child.
Yeah, well, I think now it's just so out in the public. Like what you're talking about with like the Catholic Church. Everybody knows that now.
Yeah.
And,
they knew it back then, dude.
But you're seeing the propaganda, though, is they're trying to suggest publicly that that's okay. And, they're really trying to influence kids to be, a different gender and all this bullshit. And so I think that's where...
Oh, okay. Do you know this guy, Richard Grove? You ever see him? He's got a Grand Theft World podcast. He sent me a great book. So the public education system, if you look up John Taylor Gatto, he made a great thing called Against Education. And he had studied how the public school system was built. And you'll see now, I see TikToks with like conspiracy shit about a real thing. The orphan trains that were sent out west. So all these rich industrialists that invented the education system, they've designed, on purpose and expressly, it's not like a top secret thing, designed it to separate kids from their parents at 5 at a very young age on purpose. Women separated from the men. Okay, so I think everyone should get to vote as an adult, obviously. but the people backing that they wanted women working, and like they wanted everybody being productive to their shit. And they had these trains where they just sent all these orphans out west to like settle the West. And that was on purpose to have them separated from their parents.
Interesting.
Like if you're poor and your parents send you to work somewhere like third world, that's what they did. And it's all been designed to make you just the way people are now. Since 1912, it's been designed to make you like sit still, respond to the bell ringing, to get up and leave.
Was 1912 like, is that when that happened?
That's when Woodrow Wilson came in and he established the public education system. And apparently people were there were shootouts over it.
Interesting.
Like, take your kid to school.
I have to look that up.
And it was one of those things a bunch of people saw coming, a bunch of hillbillies saw coming, and nobody wants to listen to hillbillies, right?
That's right.
And then we're all just used to it now. But even before, this is just the latest flavor, like because of the transitioning shit, just the latest flavor. It's been this the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like more so than anything, like obviously there's always some perverted idea for what to do with your human slaves on the part of people in power, but that's just the newest one. It's like, what use are you to me? And we got to find a use for these people. And then that's when you get all this bullshit, like, net zero emissions. That's Bill Gates made that up. And your carbon footprint is BP. British Petroleum made that. The people that fucked up the Gulf.
Really?
Yeah. All these things, isn't that weird? When I was a kid, these companies were like, there's no such thing as climate change.
Yeah.
What are you, Chicken Little? The sky's not falling, Chicken Little. They would literally, that's their propaganda. Then all of a sudden, they're like, no, it's real, and it's closer than ever, and it's your fault. Yeah. Like, me? Like, you're going to have to deal with a lot less now, pal, because you really fucked up this time.
Yeah.
So I only have one suspicion. This thing I'm always suspicious of is any of these explanations where, the aliens wanted to come, but we're bad.
Yeah, right.
With a thing where like you're in trouble for a crime that before you were born that you committed, and that's across everything. That's religion. That's racial bullshit. That's fucking. What if you were unlucky enough to be born in Russia or born in Gaza?
Yeah.
And you're not a terrorist, but it's unfortunate. That's war, kid.
Yeah.
We're self-defending ourselves. That's self-defense, right? When you just blow up a bunch of women and children, that's called defense, and it's legal. Everything's just designed that way, and you're supposed to go like collective guilt. Everybody's into it, and everybody's into kings and queens and that bullshit. I don't know why. Probably something with the Bible, but the idea of a bloodline. Like the lizard people, they're obsessed with bloodlines. I'm like, oh, you mean like humans? Like all humans I've ever met?
Yeah.
They're all obsessed with their genealogy. Mm-hmm. And the lizards aren't. Well, humans are like, apes are like just us.
Right.
Disney, it's all gay now. When it was straight princess shit, it was also pure shit you shouldn't show a child. You shouldn't, what is this princess bullshit? It's to keep you a child. That was the main part of the educational system, was to keep you in childhood, separated from your parents, and a childhood that's longer than ever. And that makes you more pliable. That's why all these people like the mask and the thing, is because they've got their 30-year-olds living at home. Man. A lot of them are my girlfriend used to work at the Getty Museum, and the people that work there don't get paid enough to live. They've got a lot of education, and they live with their parents. And they're my parents that get sick, put on a mask. It's always them kind of kids.
Yeah.
And you notice, like, dude, the definition of pedophile now is like, well, maybe not pedophile, but predator. I see this on the regular. Somebody's 40, and the other person, who's the kid from Kick-Ass? The guy who played Kick-Ass, that actor?
I'm not sure.
He married a woman like 20 years older than him. And I watched like an actual thing of like, oh, is she a predator? I'm like, well, was he 18? Because yeah, but she's older than him and the power dynamic.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what? Okay, as soon as you're an adult, it's none of my fucking business what you decide you want to do. Yeah. But now we're back to this church lady shit where they're like, or especially a guy with a younger woman. If you're an adult, like I said, maybe it's icky. Maybe the guy's really fat. And the girl's 18, she's really pretty, and he looks gross. Well, consider my eyebrow raised. What the fuck are you all talking? It's extended childhood. Because back when people could get out, live on their own, or they just, I'm moving out, mom and dad, and they go and whatever, you just buy a house, take a job, and start a family. And, everybody's grandparents are like 15 doing this shit. Yeah. Because they were adults quicker. We invented childhood, and the people on top have figured out ways to extend it. Because that way, it's you're being taken care of. It's not like the socialism of like I'm sure a bunch of socialists would want. It's the thing of the Henry Ford daddy style, where I'm in charge. Henry Ford paid better than all the other motor car companies at the time, and had a lower work week. But you couldn't drink or smoke, and he had police that would follow you home and make sure you were living right.
What?
Yeah. Now Instagram, people volunteer for this through Instagram, right? Yeah. But that's all the canceling shit. It's all sanctions, like we do around the world. We cancel other countries because they didn't do what we want, and people volunteer for it, and it's for you to never punch out. So I remember some doctor, this chick had bikini pictures or something on her Instagram and got let go, and there was a fight over if the fight was not about the thing it should be about, which is, dude, I'm at home. You don't fucking tell me how to live when I'm not on the clock.
Yeah.
But that's the goal. You're on the clock always. In fact, you're not going to be able to make a living, so it don't matter what the Constitution says. Oh, you're not vaccinated? You can't work.
Yeah, man. God.
You can't work at all. And they never legally, I mean, it's very illegal, by the way. And all these companies are getting sued now.
Well, yeah.
As they should be. Thank God they're getting sued.
Yeah, the pharmaceuticals, it was pretty wild, too. If you remember how it went down, they first put us, they first said masks don't work. And they say, oh, masks work. Everybody wear a mask.
Well, Fauci said 5 things. We have a thing we play, like of all him saying, and we saying don't wear a mask. He's like, you're an asshole to even think that you should wear a mask, because they knew the masks have always been nurses. A lot of nurses know this.
Yeah.
Why do the doctors not know it? Because they're being paid not to. They had an incentive. It's called the Pfizer incentive plan. You know, yeah, this finally just came out, which it's the same as OxyContin or any other drug. They get like $250 a head for so. Initially, like, oh, you already had, you already had COVID. You don't need the vaccine. That's what first doctor would say. Then like, no, get it again, because every verified thing they were getting paid.
There was a Pfizer incentive plan paying the doctors.
Yeah, it's on Jimmy's thing now. You can see it.
Oh,
we had Pierre Corian's on it. But I'm not even surprised. That's the thing you should have guessed. That's how our medicine works.
Of course. Well, I mean, I don't know if you know my background, but I own a hospital group in Mexico.
Oh, so, yeah. Oh, right.
So
yeah.
I'm just, it blows my mind that they would.
Dude, our whole system is fucked. Like, I'm not like we should have Canada's system because they're fucked too, but there's nowhere around the world like, yeah, America does it right. There's no big, I wish we had American style, you go broke healthcare. And that's because they're allowed to charge fucking 8,000% for, it's crazy what they're allowed to do. And it's not going to be fixed. It didn't get fixed by that Biden bill. That's, if you look into what he actually did, it's nothing. It's actually enraging.
Well, the system, for healthcare is extremely jacked up. The problem with drugs, for instance, like right now, the NIH has about a $45 billion a year budget. You go work for NIH for 20 years. You have your technologies that you're working on. You're the one giving the grants to the pharmaceutical companies. You leave the NIH and go work for those pharmaceutical companies, and the people that were working under you before are now higher up in the NIH, and they give you the grants. Yeah. And so it's the government funding, the research. So
it's called bypassing all the rules and all the things. That's how you bribe politicians now. Like when they do their speaking tours after they, like Obama would get like $2 million to go speak somewhere. Like, what the fuck is he going to talk about?
For
is
$2
he doing a
million?
comedy act?
Right.
Is he like seeing Chappelle?
He's selling tickets.
Yeah, he's like, he makes more money than Chappelle does on a gig to just blather that fucking nonsense. Well, obviously it's a bribe.
Yeah, man.
That's what these things are, is you want to maintain a relationship with power, is how I've heard it put by these people. Like in the access media, you don't want to alienate them by telling the truth. That's everything's corrupt on that level. And that's the thing. Like, oh, does it seem like pedophilia they're pushing? What did everybody think everything was since I was a kid? Britney Spears, there was a million things. Is she a virgin? Remember South Park had a funny ass thing about she has to be sacrificed to the corn? Is it like, you know how bizarre that is? She's dressed up like a slut, but is she a virgin? Like we're all fucking Irish gypsies. We like a whore that's a virgin because I'm Catholic. All kids programming. That's all trafficking.
Yeah.
You see kids at an audition? They don't look happy.
That's true.
Leonardo DiCaprio, that's a guy he's gay because none of them models are coming out saying he did something. He's past the age of man, should be allowed to date a woman in her 20s, right? And there's all these like chicks without their own lives, and I guess guys too, that sit there, when is he going to find someone like, Imagine if you minded your business. You don't think that's more perverse than whatever his life is? And but there's no Me Too's about him. Johnny Depp, Johnny Depp got fucked by Amber Heard for her bullshit.
That was awful.
Leo, there's nothing about. He's probably gay. He probably got molested back on the day on Growing Pains. That's when he first came out with Kirk Cameron, who had to find Jesus. He was so disturbed by showbiz. And that guy, Dan Schneider, who went on to be the Nickelodeon creep that made the foot on Nickelodeon.
Yep.
When I was a kid, it was, I guess he made it more of a foot fetish thing of kids. When I was a kid, it was about dumping slime on a child. That was what Nickelodeon's main theme.
Yeah.
You'd be like, I don't know, and you get shit dumped on your face. Like, kids like to get sloppy. I'm like, what? In my hair, I like it? What do you think? Like, it's all unsupervised kids with a casting agent, or they have these pool parties at his house. That's how the shit has worked the whole time.
Yeah, man. That's jacked up.
It's how it's worked. And so now you got all these Zoomers and shit that can't believe, wait, you mean the people on TV are not the thing that they, and I'm older. I'm like, oh, you guys thought this was, the people didn't know Hugh Hefner was a piece of shit. And they really didn't. All these girls thought, I was like, oh, you thought this pimp might have treated the women disrespectfully? But all these girls saw the E! Show of Hugh Hefner and those girls.
Yep.
And the opening's an animated opening. I forgot. It's like there's like, and she goes, when I was a little girl, I just thought they get to dress pretty and they have to live in a house with an old man.
Oh my gosh.
Because they had sanitized the sex shit out of it for E! And just made it, it's glamorous. And not basically the Epstein Island of
Hollywood.
Yeah. All those things are everywhere. And I think people everything's a distraction. Like, look at this one. It's always the same magic of pick a card, and then while you're looking, you're like, oh, here's your watch. It's like that. That's your.
What do we do about it, man? Like how
you don't gotta do shit. It's collapsing. Here's a good news. Here's what I would do: is never be a fucking cow and moo along. So, it's just a tiny thing, people just parroting. Oh, that's a Putin propaganda. That's Russian propaganda. Was the one for Ukraine. That I would get that. Well, that's just Russian propaganda. I go, first of all, what do you mean just? What do you mean it's just Russian? What do you think propaganda means? It means a thing that's not true. No, it's not what it means. That's not what it means.
Yeah.
And also, if it was, what do I only listen to American propaganda.
Right.
Made in the USA. We export and import everything else, but propaganda I get only from here.
Yeah.
That stupidity of I'm just not going to look at it because I don't want to deal with it. If you don't want to deal, that's fine. But what happens is people are indignantly telling you you're wrong. Mm-hmm. So don't do your own research. The famous thing I've never heard in my whole life. You must never do your own research. Who are they talking to with that? They ain't talking to my buddy Big J because he's not gonna. They're talking to people that read Forbes. Why are you telling them not to do their own research? Yeah. That's a very strange thing.
Yeah, who are you to do your own research? That's the first time in history that they're pushing that idiocracy.
Or the word conspiracy theory, by the way, was it Alan Dulles is the guy who first coined that phrase when they asked him about if he murdered Kennedy, which he fucking did. I think. He goes, that's just a conspiracy theory. And that's what took off in the press, that phrase.
Conspiracy theory.
What does that mean to people?
Yeah.
Because what if you're a conspiracy commit murder, you go to court and, Your Honor, this is just a conspiracy theory. The fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's just because all the words don't mean what they mean. Just know what words mean and fucking when they tell you we're all doing this. Are you going to do it? Don't do it. Maybe have some balls, especially if you've got the money. I don't understand these fucking people that got the money to say fuck you and not do a thing that sucks. But they just, how are you that much of a coward? What are you afraid you're going to be kicked out of?
Right.
That you would have fucking, remember Patton Oswalt? I always liked Patton. Remember Patton Oswalt had to write a fucking apology for taking a picture with Chappelle on Instagram?
No, I didn't know.
And it's a picture of him writing his, and I'm like, are you shitting? His wife probably took it. And I'm like, dude, you don't have enough money. You've been in all these things. You don't have enough money to be like, go fuck yourself. I'll take a picture with whoever the fuck I want.
Sure.
Especially showbiz. If you're entertainers are whores. So that means that they're dumb whores and they look for pimps when you really don't need a pimp. But it's everybody else. People are like, oh, what if I don't get everything in life I should get?
Yeah.
It's a bunch of people like that. And that's who's knuckling under the most. But it's just how, what's his name came on? Tucker Carlson came on Jimmy. And he goes, no such thing as fuck you money. There's only fuck you poverty. That's a fucking exactly right. All the people I know, like the more money they get, the more they're like afraid to. What's the point of getting it if you can't say go fuck yourself?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I thought that's the whole point.
Well, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but like being in the healthcare field, speaking out on vaccines was like, it was tough.
You're going up against a lot of cartels, buddy.
Yeah. So saying it, but so I get it to a point when you have a lot of money, just afraid of having them attack you. Afraid of, that's always a thought.
Even if you don't have much money, people I know without money, I might lose my chance to be like, everything is like, it's not that you're going to, if you want to get in like to whatever upper level of something, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be gay, Illuminati gay, right? Maybe you're gay and they're like, you have to pretend you're straight.
Yeah.
It's whatever. Or maybe you have to be in that Cat Williams interview where he was saying Kevin Hart, where he wore a dress. That's not the SNL where Kev wore a dress is not, he first wore a dress when he made Soul Plane. That's Soul Plane, being in that's a stepping stone to another thing. And it's like, ugh. Anything that you're going to have a thing where you have to just compromise yourself. And what's the degree? And like some people, they want their thing so bad.
Yeah.
Or they think they want it so bad. And it is an empty, the shit is empty. Just your human relationships are all you have.
Yep, absolutely.
But then they get it all. And the people always talk about being depressed or whatever, because you probably metaphorically or physically sucked a dick you didn't want to suck. Right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna. And by the way, the physical sucking a dick, I'll bet, is better than a lot of shit people have to do. Like write a letter apologizing for taking a picture with your friend of many years. That's a significantly more degrading than sucking Harvey Weinstein's dick stump.
Wait, so what happened with the letter? Like what?
Chappelle made a trans joke or whatever the fuck, and Patton Oswalt's still one of the last working white males of showbiz, and all the Twitter kind of people go, you took a picture with Chappelle.
Oh my gosh.
And then it was like
so fucking stupid.
That's a guy
man.
that used to like battle with these people back in the, but it was all a waste of time. All the battling about
how weak do people have to be to do that shit though?
It's been since 1912. They designed it for you to be a wage slave, and they designed it for you to be like right now what you're seeing is the thing where you can work your way up to something.
Yeah.
Is a bunch of people like, okay, we don't want any more people work. So they got rid of like gifted programs in New York, right? And the goal is to make sure we're closing the door behind us.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to eat bugs. There's not enough resources for all of you to fly and have a car. Like the EV requirements in California, they know that people can't switch. They're doing that on purpose.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it like, we were just talking a second ago about, what do you do? And the fear of losing everything. I have felt that fear though. So I can
Me too.
sympathize. And but you got to stand up at this point. You think about, I'll tell you who gave me a lot of like just inspiration is what Rogan went through.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the whole world on his shoulder, and he's like
Dude, he went through that with Mencia. I didn't even know how much he went through it. From that Mencia confrontation, he was like, I think he lost an agent. They dropped him, like he wasn't playing the store for a while.
Yep.
Like, but he's like, he's a good dude. Honestly, I think he's probably one of the best dudes I ever met in this business that, especially that has that level of success.
And just courageously speaks the truth.
Yeah, and he's not like bullheaded, and he's not like he listened. I'll tell you what really impressed me was when he had that Adam Ruins Everything guy on. I saw a clip of it because I don't listen to podcasts even. Mm-hmm. But I saw his clip, and the guy was talking about if it's okay if it's unfair, this stupid shit that's obviously unfair, And Rogan, I forgot, wasn't saying that trans women can't compete. They're saying the other woman fighting should be notified and have a choice. Because some women go, yeah, I'll fight.
Sure.
But it shouldn't be like, like I don't have to tell you about my dick if we're fucking kind of rules.
Right.
Which is very fair.
It's
and
fair.
Adam ruins everything. And he's saying all this dumb shit. And I'm watching Rogan because the stuff the guy's saying, I'm impressed by people, stuff that I would yell about because someone said something so stupid to me, that they're just listening thoughtfully. And he goes, yeah, well, a lot of trans activists told me he asked him, okay, why would these kids need to have hormones that young? Can't they just wear a dress?
Yeah.
Why do they need to be taking drugs?
Yeah.
Fair question.
Fair question.
And he goes, well, trans people tell me that it's like the best. I was that kid. I know what it's like. And Rogan goes, but they're not that kid. It's a different person. So he tried to use that projection identity bullshit. And he goes, oh, we're not trans. We shouldn't be talking about this. That, like, what a punk, dude.
Yeah.
What a fucking punk. Because Rogan, they always think he's going to be a meathead.
Mm-hmm. Not at all.
He's not at all like
Not
that.
at all.
He's into all, he gets all pothead excited about the same kind of shit I get. I get it too. And that doctor from CNN that came on and thought he was
Sanjay. He crushed Sanjay.
Yeah, because the guy's not a real doctor. He has a degree. He doesn't practice medicine. He practices bullshit. The same as everybody on the news. They're actors. They're not informed. They're Ron Burgundy down to the last man.
And he schooled him.
Yeah.
I mean, and brought facts, brought studies. CNN afterwards, of course, wanted to destroy him.
Well, they all now, like Cuomo is on News Nation. Mm-hmm. And he was on my buddy Nick Mullins thing. And he was like, yeah, he was a pretty cool guy. Yeah, I know a bunch of these kind of people, especially in New York. Like, yeah, they're all pretty cool. You hang out with them. It's all fake. And all of them are living like that, where they're like, oh, if I go against the network, I could get fired.
Yeah.
I better say the fucking thing. And they're all like that.
I mean, you think about the pressure that Rogan had too during that.
I know. I asked him about it. I was like, that because that was a crazy thing coming. He goes, well, he exercises a lot.
Yeah.
That's why better than any other fucking drug or fucking ketamine. People got those inhalers now of it.
Yeah.
Remember, they're inventing an inhaler for it. You mean a straw? And ketamine, like a little bump of that for 2 months. If you had I had bad depression and it helped for like 2 months.
Really?
But you know what? Not as good as just going to exercise and does. It's unbelievable the difference. And I just didn't, I would go off. I think I hurt myself and I stopped. And then during pandemic, I didn't do shit. Mm-hmm. And then I got so crazed that I was like, I have to have sun. And I started going hiking by my house.
Nice.
But I had to get sun first.
Yep.
And then I got into doing more, and just the lack of depression from that. But then now the only thing is having to know about news that nobody knows about, even though it's not top secret. Like the shit on Jimmy's show, I smoke more pot than I ever have. And I used to smoke a lot of pot. But it's so some of these stories are so upsetting in a way of, well, this is actually great. That WHO guy I was talking about before, Dr. Tedros, that old warlord. There was some contract something we were signed on to, where if the United States didn't back out of it, then it was going to automatically go into effect, like that, the 10 albums for a penny scam. And it was the next pandemic. All your national sovereignty in these issues will be ceded to the WHO, meaning Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm really oversimplifying it, and people go, no, what didn't have that kind of power, but yeah, it did. They quietly crossed out non-binding, so it would be but whatever. It's falling apart because all these other countries are sick of it.
Yeah. So
Slovakia is like, fuck you, we're not doing it. So I'm encouraged by that, and I'd say the ultimate thing of what you have to do is don't be a fucking punk. You could be wrong. I don't care if you're wrong.
Yeah, man.
Just don't be a fucking punk with your fucking livelihood and your fuck that shit, dude. Like, what's the point?
I'm with you, brother.
I'm
with you.
None of this shit's worth it. And then the people, Will Smith, I feel bad for because the guy probably never wanted to be married to a woman.
God,
poor fucker. I like Obama, the thing where that letter, some declassified book. The guy went in and read this letter to her girlfriend in college. He goes, I make love to men in my mind. You remember that?
No.
There's Tucker interviewed some guys that he fucked Obama back in the day.
Oh, okay.
But people go, well, he has a history of fraud, and his history of fraud is he passed a bad check in Florida. But that's a history of fraud. But this thing is not in dispute. It was in Newsweek. Mike McRae, that does impressions, came on Jimmy's show to talk about it, and it's this bizarre thing where he's talking to this girl about it's like I'm into a person and not their body, and I make love to men in my mind.
Oh, that's weird.
It is a little weird. It's a strange thing. But Mike doing Obama, he goes, yeah, I was trying to bang a girl with pink hair and a nose ring. That's the kind of shit you got to say.
Yeah.
And like, that is a good excuse. Like, that is the fucking artsy chick. You got to see some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was trying to bang. I think he probably was gay.
Yeah, I mean, could have been.
But it's just like, what a weird. Oh, and in his own book, he had this white girlfriend he was into. He needed to dump her to marry Michelle because he didn't look good in the Chicago scene. This is not like a secret thing. It's in a book, and Michelle didn't like him because of that for a while. I've never read any of these guys' books, by the way, but this is all in their books.
Yeah.
Every politician has to write a Mein Kampf before they run for office. And he, like, okay, just that alone, that's a standard thing. Why would you have to do that for politics? Because it's even more phony than entertainment.
Yeah.
And like, there's a bunch of dumb fuck older liberals that love The West Wing, that thought that was great. That Aaron Sorkin kind of fucking dipshit, right? And then that morphed into House of Cards liberals, which is the Kevin Spacey kind.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's when Game of Thrones and Cersei Lannister, you'd see all the feminists go, well, she's a powerful woman using her power. You're like, she seems like if she's a piece of shit and she's like, a criminal, and you could see like the generations coming up, it's this real cold ass shit, and people just act like that's normal.
Yeah.
Because of optics. Well, what about the optics? And that's the way that they trick people into being like, what's actually true doesn't matter. How does it look?
Yeah.
And then you have to act like you're, hey, maybe this thing sucks that we did over here, but our opponent might win if you talk about it.
Yeah.
So that means it's your duty to shut the fuck up. I'm like, well, I'm not part of working on the campaign. I get to say whatever I want.
Right.
It's wartime propaganda. Hey, cover this up right now because we want to win, right?
Yeah,
it's right.
It's Hunter Biden's laptop the week before the election, 2020.
Yeah.
You
you ever see it?
I saw.
You see him getting a foot job from Mulan?
I didn't see that.
Oh, dude's a legend. Let me tell you something. That guy, you ever see his fucking sweet dick pics? He's got nothing to be ashamed of. His flaccid dick pics are, I see why they sent him to China to show them a thing or two. But it's him getting a foot. It takes a while to see what's going on because you just see the motion. He's with the chick that played Mulan in the live action Mulan. Okay, that actress.
Okay.
He's got a smoking a crack pipe and she's foot jobbing him. And in the background, MTV's Ridiculousness is playing with Rob Dyrdek. It's like, why did you record this? I'm glad you did, but like, why would you? And by that's a spot. You think that you're gonna fuck a famous mainland China actress as the vice president's son and smoke crack. And it's not the government sending her? That's not possible.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
absolutely not a possibility that it was not obvious honey trap shit from I don't know what he gave them.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to like Willie Nelson. Like, what are you going to believe me or your eyes?
Yeah,
you
man.
know.
Well, it's strange that Biden would, President Biden would just put him out there like that too.
No, that's what they all do. That's their fucking grip. I
mean,
and when people like mad at Trump, and I'm not any fan of Trump, by the way. I just can't believe. Hey, but listen, if you hate Trump, you should just really think about how the fuck we got to that. It's Biden and Trump again.
Yeah, man.
And then you tell me you think this is a real like country. Like, how the fuck does that happen unless the whole thing is fake and worthless? If Trump's that bad, how the fuck would he be back? You really think it's that half the people are just evil and they just like
right.
That would still be your fucking fault then.
Yeah.
The other side. Like, it's obvious this is bullshit. What he is an uncontrollable variable.
Yeah.
Unlike Biden. Why would they stick by Biden? Because he's a husk that they can do whatever the fuck they want to do.
Well, I mean, I wasn't a fan of Trump either to start.
I think he's built character.
Well, I mean, when you see that they've, the first Russia thing, the Russia hoax, as he likes to call it,
that conspiracy theory that was crazier than anything with lizards.
I know, man. And it just, when you saw the whole media get behind just trashing him and it turned out to not be true.
But it doesn't matter. You're supposed to, but do you want your side to win or do you want to be, see, I understand political shitbags running a campaign thinking like that.
Yeah.
Right? But I don't have to think like that. As a civilian, I'm supposed to be able to, but no, it's keep your voice down.
Yeah.
Same thing as the church molestations, like shit. Oh, Jehovah's Witnesses, the number one lawsuit, biggest paid lawsuit for that is against Jehovah's Witnesses, not Catholics.
Really?
Yeah, because they didn't go to the cops. They wasn't even a person in authority. It was just they handled it in-house, like some kind of shitty college, because this might look bad for the brand.
Yeah.
And that right there, that's the crux of everything that's wrong, is that shit where like keep your mouth shut because it's like either unpatriotic or like you're helping the enemy.
Yeah.
That's why they came up with this bullshit about mis, dis, and malinformation.
Yeah.
Malinformation is shit that's true. And they're talking about an infodemic, and there's an infodemic now where people have so much information, accurate or not.
Right.
Accurate or not, what? So this doing a little slippy slide of transitioning to like, no, just you shouldn't know things I don't want you to know.
Right. Yeah.
I should spy on you though all day.
Yeah.
I should watch you jerk off on your phone. But you shouldn't even know what any of my little dirty secrets on my emails.
Yeah, man. Well, the whole misinformation thing too. How much misinformation or actually disinformation did they give? I mean,
everything.
And the hypocrisy you were talking about earlier. That's the part. Like I've been having a hard time the last month or so. It's finally like hit me. I'm like, God, like the stupidity and the craziness and the lunacy, and the hypocrisy.
So we had Alex Jones on, and I didn't know. I thought he did say the Parkland thing. I thought that was him that said that.
Which part that he said?
The thing he got sued for,
Yeah.
that there was fake. No, he didn't. Callers in said it, and he allowed them to say it on the show. And then the particulars of the lawsuit are.
That was awful.
If you think the Trump ones that are bullshit now, they were just practicing on him. So now I can't point to a single thing that he was wrong. His hit rate is infinitely better than every major news organization.
It's incredible.
So that's really stunning.
Yeah, it is. We were talking about before the show how Alex Jones has been right about almost everything. We were watching a video a little earlier, and just the things that he's saying, you're like, damn, Alex.
Yeah, it's just nobody back then, you'd be like, I would never in a million years think that this isn't. Why wouldn't you think that?
I thought he was crazy too. I don't think he's crazy now. Not in the slightest. And talk about that's courage too, man. I respect people at this point that speak openly about things and have stuff.
You mean just your basic rights you're supposed to have?
Yes.
It is impressive, isn't it?
It is. Isn't that
How
incredible?
did that become a thing? Well, I'll tell you how. Holding you hostage with your livelihood.
Yeah.
It's not censorship unless the government comes to you, personally does it. But a private company can do whatever it wants, unless it's Elon Musk with Twitter letting Trump talk. Then they can't do what they want. But if it's what I want, they can do it.
Yeah.
You know, I had a bunch of people say that to me, especially in New York, where like, no, this censorship's good because it's not. So you're finding a loophole to be able to censor, and you're saying that to me.
Yeah, they're
No,
selling
I want
you.
a giant corporation the size of a country to decide what I can say.
Yeah.
That's great. You're really thinking it through.
Yeah, they're selling us on why we should be censored. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to not have free speech. It's a good thing to have people shadow banning you.
Do you remember in school? Did you have this in school where like they didn't want us, like little stupid school rules, where there's this eternal wearing a hat battle of wearing a baseball hat in school. School is like against school policy, where they had like 3 T-shirts that were banned that were like those co-ed naked fucking volleyball bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Like those are inappropriate.
Yeah.
And I just watched these stupid battles over if you could wear a hat or not.
Right.
I remember as a kid being like, what in the fuck are you all talking? Like, that's where you get that training to fight over dumb shit.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
And then meanwhile, you're a kid and they're going to take you right back to where you're a guy that works for the company store and you don't get money. You get company store bucks on your debt and you mine or you do whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And you're part of a fiefdom of a large oligarch. So now you're supposed to like pick a billionaire that you like. Right? Like me, I like Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I hate that. And they'll be like, and I have people that hate Elon Musk.
So stupid.
I'm like, why do you have feelings about? Oh, because you sure shouldn't have feelings about the reality in front of you. You should not think about that.
Yeah.
And you should worry about somebody else's shit.
It's like that's what's so hard about it because like you're actually thinking super logically. It's like logic, but we've been taught to think very illogically about everything. And if you think logically, you're a bad person or you're, let's say transphobic or homophobic or,
maybe you're a Putin puppet. Maybe you're a fucking,
it's
look, there's just a herd instant thing that, who's that guy that Colin, what's his name? Kaepernick.
Yep.
Now I was like, they made a big deal because he took a knee at the, what was it, the pledge or the anthem?
Yep.
So I couldn't do the Pledge of Allegiance growing up as a kid.
Jehovah's Witness.
There's a whole Supreme Court case that you have a right not to pledge. The Pledge of Allegiance was just like pulled out of somebody's ass around. It was not from the dawn of time. It came out in the 50s or something. And also, like, what is it that you get out of seeing everyone pledge allegiance? Do you think, like, if I'm here to, like, secretly destroy the country, don't you think I would pledge allegiance so you wouldn't find me? But it's like a Me Too. Like, everybody has their little flag salute they got to do. So Me Too, you had to go, well, Me Too is good and necessary. Me Too was a big pile of shit the whole time. It was garbage.
So is Black Lives Matters.
All of them. And so is, but they're all a version of saluting the flag.
Yes.
A meaningless thing that people, my friend Brody Stevens, when he was alive, he was a baseball, and I was trying to explain this analogy, because I used to talk with him all the time in the back. I'm like, this is Me Too. Like, why is there always like a flag? Everything is like a flag I got to salute. And he goes, I can't get with that. Brody, he had an immediate reaction because saluting the flag, and he played baseball and blah, blah, blah. There's no, you can't even rationally talk to him about it. Colin Kaepernick, when he did that, that was, at the time of censorship, that was the flip side of where people are like, well, good, they're a private company, the NFL, and they should blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Now, I would stand respectfully with my hands at my side as a kid. I think kneeling, it looks like you're like really into the flag. Like you're like, my flag, like you're kneeling before the flag.
Yeah.
But whatever, he can do whatever he wants. Well, you don't own this mother. You don't have to tell me what I pledge to or whatever. Maybe I do. Well, the flag should pledge to me is how I see it. But whatever. It's his freedom to do that. And all of a sudden everybody's on board. Well, this is bad and this and that. And then, I mean, he got an endorsement deal.
I think he got a lot more out of it than, I think it helped him a lot.
It didn't help him in that company. He later got like Nike shit, probably from that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing you should look at. Like, why was another major company? So football's afraid that they want to punish him. Then another company's like, oh, we like that he said that because we're against the flag and shit now.
I mean, my thing with it though, like, kneel or not, it became just like everything else is right now. Either if you think this way, it's right or wrong. You know, like you're either with them or you're against them, and you get on this team.
Something I forgot about, and all I think about now is Taylor Swift and another football player. I don't even remember really what it's about.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm more concerned with AI porn of Taylor Swift being distributed than anything at this point. The last thing I cared about was the Titanic submarine tour. You saw the Titanic submarine tour that imploded?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That was the biggest story of my lifetime. But now I got nothing.
Right. They're really worried about this. I mean, it's freaking wild, man.
Well, I just want to see if, if there's aliens or not. I'm sick of everything. I want to see one new goddamn thing.
What do you think? Do you think that there are aliens?
Well, I don't know. I'll put it, I mean, I'm sure there are in the infinite universe, but as far as, how impossible it is that they came here, I don't think it's very impossible.
Not at all.
Like, well, then why hasn't Neil deGrasse Tyson seen him personally? Yeah. I don't know. Hey, women have dicks now, so anything is possible, I guess.
And he believes that.
Yeah, he fucking made himself believe. And just if there was, like, let's say Roswell, whatever the wildest story of Roswell, if aliens did crash land, what do you think would happen? Do you think they would tell you about it, or you think they would keep it secret for 80 years?
Keep it secret.
Yeah. And before you answer, they're keeping the Kennedy details secret another 70 years.
What?
Yeah, because there's nothing there.
Come on.
What is that? Man. They're keeping it secret another 70 years. Oh, and also a bunch of vaccine information. That's getting a Kennedy amount of secret time.
Yeah.
So as soon as you hear that, that's when you should know. Yeah. So anyway, if there is, it'd be exactly what the conspiracy says is they found it. What I don't know is, because now you hear people saying like, oh, they're not aliens, they're interdimensional, like demons, right? And that's where I think a lot of, my friend Jason Burmis, who made Loose Change, that documentary, he thinks it's ridiculous that they could be aliens. If they're faking this, okay, that is crazier than if there are aliens.
Yeah.
If they have made an 80-year George Lucas Star Wars lore universe of fake aliens for 80 years, for what? Like, as a distraction. As a distraction, you don't even need aliens as a distraction. And they're not. They announced UAPs are real the same time as the Titanic submarine thing.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit about the UFOs. They're like, oh, they find the submarine.
Yeah, man. That's
So you don't have to distract. Dude, a Bud Light beer can with a he-she on it, that's a distraction. Nobody gives a fuck. Aliens is like corny to mention. So that's why I'm like, no, I don't think it's just a distraction because it's not a very good one at all. No one's distracted by it. People are distracted by shit that's not even as interesting as that.
Yeah, so one of my good friends is on the board of that To the Stars. That's what's the singer that
Yeah, the Blink-182 guy?
Yeah, that's his deal. They got CIA people, they got
Yeah, he bought his way into something. Now, I saw him talking about it. It was funny when I saw him talk about it later when I first saw him, like, what the fuck, the Blink-182 guy? Then I saw him again talking about it, and he said something about, I believe they showed him something, and because they said, you know, maybe we have to keep it secret because the aliens can't know that we have this. It was some shit like that he was saying. I go, oh, they're Sean Penning him. Sean Penn blathering about Zelensky and why we need to help and Russia's bad. That's propaganda. He's going, oh, the aliens can't know. And Space Force has been formed. And once we get sick of these wars and the Ponzi scheme is running out of money, what are we going to do? Well, then you have the alien threat. And then I'll bet your recruitment's going to jump way up. If you can go to space and fucking shoot fucking Halo aliens and fuck shit like, yeah. He also said something about, I just watched him recently. He's talking about, he was talking to all these people and he got legitimized by the WikiLeaks of Hillary Clinton's emails because Podesta had spoken to him. Mm-hmm. And he goes, you know, and then he goes, then Russia hacked, you know, Hillary's emails. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, everybody just focuses on their one thing they're into and doesn't. It wasn't Russia, dude. If you talk to that guy, could tell the Blink-182 guy, Russia didn't hack Hillary. I mean, it really sticks in my craw that he said that.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, look, I don't think they hide anything. What I've learned in the last few years is, oh, they don't have to hide it. You're just not going to look. And especially alien shit. Shit leaks all the time. It's just you put out fake shit with it. It's like wood alcohol. Yeah. So there's poison with it. And they don't have to hide anything. They can literally tell the whole secret plan to the guy from Blink-182. And what are you going to do? They could tell Demi Lovato the secrets of the universe, and you ain't going to find it. Yeah. It's like they like we're so smart, they have to sneak ones by us. No, they don't.
Well, it was, you know, that whole company, and they, you know, my buddies did a lot of work with them. Their board it's wild too. And I'm like, what is this, man? How did they got the head of the CIA here, all these people, and why are they picking, Tom DeLonge? Like, what's...
Well, he comes from a Air Force family or something.
Does he?
Yeah, his dad's like in military and like, you know, the branch that probably is involved in, and also he spent most of his fortune or something trying to find out about, and then they finally let him in. And so, so I don't believe they would let him in and tell him the truth.
Yeah.
About now, because think about it. Like if I'm him and I go on this merry chase to find some shit, all you got to do is have the real group let me in, tell me some cock and bull story about we're fighting against a menace from beyond. Show me a couple of things that are mind-blowing. They probably got all kinds.
Well, they got
and
that
I'll believe
one, you know, they got that video released, I guess probably 3 years ago. The first one that was it was official. I forget who
yeah, right.
They got that one released. And you know, it was just I was just telling Chris, like, how did y'all put together this whole team of intelligence people? And what is, I mean, because I understand what they're stated.
There's a bunch of intelligence people around. You know, that's the security state, as they call it, has a lot of employees, and there's always leaks. Mm-hmm. And it's compartmentalized, they call it, right? So you don't, if you're in, that's how you hide the alien shit, is stovepiping or compartmentalizing. You only know what you know. Yeah. Need to know basis. Other people, nobody has the whole picture. Yeah. So that's why any agent coming forward, what they say, they probably know some stuff and also what they've been told, because you don't get to know the whole thing together. And by the way, that's how we live. Yeah. I just know about what I go to work and I do whatever. I don't know about all that with Ukraine, or I don't know all that with Israel, or I don't know about all that. You've been trained in life to be compartmentalized on purpose, or I have, everybody is, and everybody does it. It's just the natural way the pyramid fucking works, you know?
Yeah, man.
And so that's why I think the infodemic is a problem, because I think it's not working out. There's some kind of power struggle going on with some very powerful people at the top that are not on the same page, is what I think it is. I think there's a collapsing starting to happen. Yeah. because like I said, I'm not particularly bright. It's just like
You're fucking smart, man.
But
you
I
are.
didn't pick up. It's not a matter of smart. It's a matter of back in when 9/11 happened, and people, why are we going? All the liberals were annoying. Were like, why are we going to Iraq if Al Qaeda did it? And that's a fair question. I try to remember what I thought at the time. Like, who cares? We just got to show them.
Yeah, well,
Like,
but your program at the time. But now you've woke up. And
after 20 years, like, it's not particularly smart to wake up after 20. You just like, you can't keep getting me with the same scam every time.
Right.
You got to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah. When did you start realizing all the bullshit?
I was in 2015. I was watching something on TV about some culture war bullshit, and I was like, wait, are we still in Iraq? Like, I forgot. I forgot if that was still going on, and it was like like if you feel like you left the oven on at home feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. I'm like, what happened with that? And I think it was inconclusive, the results, but holy shit, I just forgot about it. Guantanamo's still open.
And then, so 2015, that's like...
That's just one little thing. But then when everything really dawned on me was like a buildup and then like an avalanche of shit. As you watch it crumbling around you, then you start noticing. But just like the same reason you would like when I was a Jehovah's Witness, you couldn't have talked me out of being a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah.
You have all the evidence. I'm not in it because of evidence. I would never even bother to bring evidence. It was the thing that's supposed to be the answer to all your problems fails you when it's supposed to be the most important thing, right? That's when people leave.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, this isn't helping me how it's supposed to. That's all it takes. So it's really kind of selfish. And then I'm good at analogies. So I see the same repeating patterns in supposedly opposite things, right? Like the bad guy terrorists and us. Take your pick of whoever, Republican, Democrat. You just notice the exact same behaviors with a thin veneer of something different. And these incredibly shallow people around you that only look superficially, and then I try to feel like, is it because you want to not see? And it is most of the time. And then there's like, animals and proles are free, as they say in 1984. The people that are just like, they're worried about like football and Taylor Swift or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's something for everyone.
The guy kneeling.
But you're never supposed to know. You're always supposed to be compartmentalized. Like, don't do your own research. Are you a researcher? Are you a professional researcher?
Yeah.
Your specialty is pushing those buttons on that cash register. Or
Right.
you're not a fucking specific kind of thing. Don't even bother looking into it. You won't understand it.
Yeah.
You're just gonna harm everything. We're trying to get this done. Get out of our way. So now like I'm employed or something on a team that doesn't pay me to, that's the trick is to make you feel like you shouldn't be wrong. Who gives a shit? If you think the earth is flat, again, I don't see the danger.
Yeah, right. Do you know Eddie Bravo?
I wish I had a morning show with Eddie.
Eddie's one of my...
Eddie told me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love that dude. But he told me, boy, that guy's, just when you think you got a conspiracy, like he'll do one better. He told me there's no such thing as nuclear weapons last time I talked to him.
Oh gosh. He's got some wild conspiracy theories.
He doesn't stick with it. He'll get disappointed and go to the next one. But the ones he finds,
he was right about chemtrails. He was right about chemtrails.
Well, what's chemtrails exact? Like the part I didn't believe of chemtrails, not obviously the chemicals and whatever.
Sure.
They didn't even they used to do it in Missouri. That came out. They sprayed that shit on black kids.
Yeah, I think. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, St. Louis. They did in San Francisco. They've been spraying but they weren't even nice enough to do it on a plane. They just stuck things on top of buildings.
Well, for the longest time, though, it was like people said it wasn't a thing, and now they're getting
because the classic. So chemtrails, and the reason I was like it's not a thing is because everybody's stupid because they're spraying this shit on us. I was like, I don't think they need to use special chemicals to make you stupid. I think you're right there already. But that's a stupid the COVID vaccine has a microchip in it. See, that's based on a real thing that's not that, but that's like Alex Jones yelling the frogs are gay.
Yeah, the frogs. Yeah.
Okay, but so they'll put out a fake argument that no one was making to discredit the real argument. So the vaccine thing, that's an actual, Bill Gates had a patent for a rubella vaccine that was a patch.
Okay.
That would have a chip in it under the skin.
Interesting.
So with your whole history of all your vaccinations in it. So that's what's being mixed up. I don't even know what rubella is, but that's being conflated with the mRNA vaccine, which it's not.
Yeah.
But then it's an excuse to say, how dare you say there can be anything weird? The Bill Gates,
Yeah.
he's a wonderful man
Yeah.
that just wants to test his ideas on Africans.
Yeah.
All of them are like that. You find it the real 9/11. I remember making jokes about like the conspiracies, like how come two Jews were seen high-fiving the day of 9/11 outside, because they said they were like Jews were seen celebrating. It's not very anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
It's a big conspiracy that went around. Well, the real story was some Israeli guys were videotaping the whole thing and cheering, and a neighbor, because see something, say something, she goes, hey, these guys, these kind of brownish looking, Arab looking guys, didn't know they were Israeli, are filming the towers burning and cheering and like dancing around. So the FBI picked them up and had a talk with them, and they were sent back to Israel, and they're on a talk show talking about how they were sent to document the whole thing. You can find, it's unbelievable. And at the time, I would have never seen this. I'd be like, I don't get what, or like the Building 7 thing. I didn't even understand that there was a separate building called Building 7.
Yeah.
Like, no, planes did it, but what about Building? Like, I don't know. Who cares? I don't care about Building 7. It's just like, I'm not trying to hear that right now because I'm on some other shit.
Yeah.
And so now I go, like pretty much everything. You heard some, like, hologram planes blew up. It wasn't real. They were holograms, the planes. You hear something stupid, right? And then you dismiss everything. Like, it's not, what do you think, holograms?
Yeah.
What do you think, lizard people?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all there so that if you have an objection, you could be what are you, anti-vaxxer?
Yeah.
No, I had all my shots. I wasn't even against this one until you start getting weird.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they painted it, man. That's how they painted it. But
well, it's just the end. It's look, the childlike thing of which lunch table do you want to be able to sit at? The allure of that is going away because that's a thing with a good economy where you can pay people in cred, in clout. The clout as a form of crypto is going away because people can't afford to fucking live because eggs cost fucking $12. Like basic things cost a lot now.
yeah, man.
For regular people, and you can tell them that everything's fine, but they know if it's not.
Of course.
And so once you're actually hungry, then you're not going to be able to like pay people with like bullshit titles, and you have to have money.
Well, that's the problem with inflation too. You know, like if you inflate a currency, they're supposed to be 2% a month or 2% a year. You know, you're going to, it's going to affect the poor people the most. Well, and you know, I mean,
I get paid in vapes myself. Like
I mean, it's awful though, man. I mean, these you know, I was raised, we didn't have a lot of money, and you know, if we would have had giant inflation or all those little things made a big difference to us, you know, growing up. And it's sickening. And
yeah, right. Well, fuck you. You're like there's more deplorables than there used to be, right? That was just, this basket. There's more than a basket of deplorables now.
Yeah.
And the people in charge can't believe it. And what's encouraging about this shit falling apart is, see, it's not, yeah, you could be Mr. Powerful, whatever, or woman and ordering all this shit, okay? But because of the way the structure works, a lot of ambitious sociopaths want your spot, okay? Just like any medieval War of the Roses, Game of Thrones shit.
Yeah.
So they're lying their way up it's all scam artists, like your Bernie Madoff types, and then your psycho lizard people types. The lizard people types are depending on these scam artists with their stupid cottage industries of DEI or whatever, and they're all scams and they don't work. So they're lying their way up the ladder. So even though there's all this spying and shit, the people aren't getting reliable information.
Yeah.
They're compartmentalized too. People with really good secret information don't know regular shit that you know. And then you see it like, it turns out everybody knew who killed Tupac this whole time.
Yeah.
Remember that mystery?
Yeah.
Only to white people, I guess. Who could have killed Tupac? Everyone knew the whole time, but you don't know anybody from that neighborhood, and there was no internet.
Turns out Puff Daddy's gay.
And everyone was gay the whole time, right? That's the thing that's spilling out is now it's creating a thing where you can't compartmentalize so good.
Yeah, man. It's been a battle. It's been a battle. You know, trying to figure out how to get my brain through this time, and I've been kind of in the question because, you know, I just know I've noticed a difference in how my brain works. I'm like, oh man, I'm having a hard time thinking, you know, and it's weird, but I think that's part of the programming, part of what we're going through. But you know, I think The reason I simplify it to good and evil, of course, what is good, what is evil, but I can point out the evil. I pretty much
It's like pornography. I know it when I see it.
Yeah, there you go. You can point it out, man.
It's more subtle than you would think. It's like not any specific thing, but it's like it's like a spirit or something. It's a quality. It's not a quantity.
Yes,
it's a quality. Like and you know when you see it. But like I said, it's one of them things. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
So now everybody saw this shit they cannot unsee.
Yeah, man.
And there ain't you can't go back once you see the thing you weren't supposed to see.
Yeah, and I think doing what you do, even speaking out on this about these subjects, I think it gives more people courage too. I think it's important. I think that's kind of.
Well, I already got canceled a long time ago.
Yeah, I guess. Who canceled you?
I guess the industry. There wasn't. Nobody was calling it that. That's like ripped off from like drag queen Twitter. But it's just sanctions. It's all sanctions. So it's like Cuba. We canceled Cuba. Remember back in the day? And
what did you do?
We canceled Iran.
Why did they cancel you? I think it was.
It was not that. I had a media smear campaign on me because I said that maybe don't handle rape charges on Twitter and Facebook. And I don't know if you know this is before me too.
Okay.
But if you say that, that means you love rape. Did you know that?
Wait. What did you say first?
Maybe don't handle this shit on fucking Facebook. Maybe go to the cops on the way to Facebook.
That's logical.
If you know about a serial rapist, maybe don't rely on a clown school's internal investigation. And that became, I ended up on the opposite end of my own point somehow by the end of it.
What in the world?
And I had no idea what the fuck just happened. But, that's just how that shit worked. And it was small time, but it was like every major outlet. I couldn't believe, like I talked to my manager, had me talk to somebody at New York Times, and the guy it's like talking to the cops without a lawyer, talking to the press without a PR person.
Right.
That's what your lawyer is for that. But that's how it used to work, where they could destroy your reputation for a week. And nothing like ruined. People are like, oh, they're ruined. They're like, nothing ruined my life. Or
No.
I think people get dramatic.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, like, that shit happened if it happened like now, it probably would boost my shit through the roof.
Isn't it weird how it's kind of like it has kind of moved to that?
I thought it was going to be like that back then, but was the beginning of millennial twits and their fucking like old church lady, blue hair, old lady phase, but they're young.
Yeah.
And that's what that is. Like you didn't go along with the thing. And so gradually like that just goes away. It's not sustainable. It's ridiculous. And there's not enough people being brought into the clique of where you have to pretend that's good.
Yeah.
They're not accepting, like the books are kind of closed on it. So now people are shut out and they're like, hey, fuck this. I mean, it is what it is. So there's still like people that want to pay for things, which when I started, you would work for Viacom or Showtime or HBO, as a writer. And, realized when Rogan was starting a podcast back then. And so, like, you really don't need any of the traditional. It's just like that thing I was talking about with the radio and H.G. Orson Welles and the papers smear them as creating a panic with misinformation.
Yep.
That's what's happening now because these things are dying. No movie star matters. None of them fucking matter unless they're on Epstein Island. The only reason you would even think about them, most of them. Or they're in Barbie.
Oh my God.
None of the news, they all don't matter. Like they just are all falling out. And so you're watching them all flail around. And then now all the other things, the empire's falling apart. I mean, I would like to believe Trump will go clean a bunch of people out. If he really did make the Rachel Maddow camps for, if he did really just drag all of MSNBC and and put them in camps like they're saying he's going to do, I would fucking campaign for him. He's not going to do that.
No.
But I would love it if that happened.
I think he's going to go after a lot of people, though, man.
I'm not getting my hopes up on nothing. We was watching people do not what they say.
Yeah.
I hope that's exactly what it is. But I can't imagine that there won't be they won't find a thing. I don't think they could just kill him because it's too big of a thing.
Me.
But I think they definitely will take a civil war over. And keep in mind when he was in, he did 95% of the shit they wanted. He just didn't do 5% of it or so, and that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
To be that much of a wild card is unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, he went as hard as I guess he could, but I mean, they attacked him constantly, and that's actually what kind of brought me in to supporting more. I didn't like his rhetoric.
It's ridiculous.
I was like, this is ridiculous. Yeah, it's
He's
ridiculous.
an unlikable guy, and they made him into like a fucking. Yeah, well, that should give you a clue as to what country you live in. That's your last fucking hope now.
Yeah, hey.
Your last hope is like some shit.
But now, I mean, even yesterday, $83 million settlement, like, or from that crazy.
You got Alex Jones.
From that crazy, yeah. It's just.
That's like Alex Jones, the same unfair. That one is crazy. With that I don't even know. That's one of the most corrupt things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Every time you read the details of what the case is, it's even more batshit.
Yeah.
He said, "No, I didn't do it. That lady's fucking crazy."
Yeah, and now she's getting.
Which she is.
She's clearly crazy. Saw her on CNN. She was insane.
She told Anderson Cooper he's fascinating to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, get a butterfly net?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely crazy lady.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I'm guessing something's going to happen before Trump would be allowed to step in, because I think they would rather look. All identity politics is to have you fight with each other to not disturb the empire.
Yeah, man.
And since Rome, they've taught kids how to the upper class. They get lessons in how to do this. I think something treatise on the Punic Wars. There's something that rich kids read in school besides Hobbes' Leviathan and these other things that are like all about how you rule, and it's always is to make sure how do you. I like to say how do you run a prison? Like in California, all the races are separate. Okay, and then they have shot callers that enforce that, and they get a little bit of power, right? They're like ruling in hell, kind of.
Yeah.
And there's not enough guards for the prison, so you have to. It's just easier to control the prison that way. And that's what your fucking country is, a big fucking prison. And how do you control a country with armed people where they let the prisoners have guns?
Yeah.
Well, you divide them up over if women have dicks. You just find dumber and dumber shit. And everybody just goes along with it.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. That's exactly what's going on. Well, Kurt, we've been going for about 3 hours, brother. So
I gotta get ready. Fuck. I fucked up. Oh, it's okay.
Okay.
I gotta give jokes to Jimmy for his fucking show. He's doing the live game show tonight.
Oh.
It's not a game show, but it's those shows are like funner because they're like all mostly comedy.
Oh, cool.
Not new. The news part, I fucking.
And you have a show tonight with?
No, I gotta write jokes for him for his. He's doing it in there's like a time difference, so I gotta get him some jokes before that show. Then I gotta do my show tonight.
Oh, cool, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on here, man. I really appreciate
man. Good
everything. And thanks for what you're doing, man. We need more people.
I have to do comedy. I don't have any other options in my life.
Well,
I mean, you're welcome, but it's literally I don't have a choice but to do stand-up. That means you failed. When people go, you're a failed comic, whether they know or not, what they mean is you still do stand-up.
You're definitely not a failed comic either.
You're not a movie star? You still do stand-up? That's what a failed stand-up is.
No. I don't know.
Not to me. Yeah. I'm just saying how showbiz works.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, brother.
Maybe come by tonight.